give it a few seconds to like, yeah, I'll give it a few seconds to like load up on YouTube. Come on. I'm trying to like get it to load. Okay, there it is. Give me a second. I'm gonna deafen just to see if I can hear you and stuff. So let me just do that.
Realized. Hello everyone, I just realized my mic wasn't turned on inside the stream. How's everyone doing? Now you can hear me.
I cannot hear you in the
Yeah,
stream.
you'll start hearing me in a second, my mic was off. um, Alright, now my mic's on. Everyone will start hearing me. Hey there everyone, welcome to 1.8.7. I'm currently running the final snapshot. We're going to be pushing out the release build sometime relatively soon. And yeah, welcome to the stream. We're going to be showing off some features today that you're going to be seeing in the next update.
Yeah, basically we're gonna be showing off almost everything. We might miss a few small things, but anything major that you really want to know about, yeah, we're gonna be hopefully showing everything off.
So right there, I accidentally went into the escape menu and video settings. So I feel like I should start off by showing one of the first things. It's a very small feature, but I feel like it's rather nice to have. Cloud height. So you know how in Optifine you can configure the cloud height to put it up and down a bit? Well, that is natively included in NFC now. So let's go into Options, Video Settings, and then you have the cloud height. It's currently set to a default of plus 22. However, you can easily just slide that down, and that goes to the old value Y108. This is what it currently is in 1.8.6 without any mods installed. But the new default is a bit higher. Now let Rode take it away, as he's the one who made the feature.
Yeah, and the reason why I made the default plus 22 is that's because it's like right above the build height limit. If you were to build up to the sky as high as you can build up to Y128, the clouds would be like right above your head, and you could jump and just barely touch them. And I feel like it looks pretty good at that height. But I gave the option to make it a little higher in case you like want it to be the clouds to look just a little bit up more in the sky. And I also provided an option to go back to the old one because, you know, if you like clouds going through your builds for some reason, I personally found that obnoxious, but if that's your cup of tea, hey, you got an option.
Right. So yeah, that's the first feature I feel like is notable. Second little technical change we made, new texture pack support. So this isn't like add anything to texture packs. However, what we have done is we made it so you can load in folders now that aren't zipped up. So I'll show that off. So these are a bunch of old-fashioned zips. All of them are old-fashioned things. I've got this one pack that I made a while ago called autumn.zip, which just kind of loads in some different biome colors. However, one thing you can do now is if you right-click the zip folder and extract it with any sort of program, you can just go ahead, go into texture packs, which you'll also notice is now just called texture packs and not mods and texture packs, as that's always been false. So now the textures looks a little nicer now. But yeah, you'll see that there is 2 copies of Autumn here. There's autumn.zip, which you'll also notice now is a bit of a gray text at the end for the .zip, rather than being all in white, just to help distinguish it a bit better. And Autumn, which is not a zip folder, however loads perfectly fine in game. So yeah, also includes all the proper textures and stuff, so now if you're working on a texture pack or something, this is much more convenient, as you can just feel free to open this up in a image editor, scribble a bunch of stuff on it, save it, and then reload it, and you'll not see the changes as it does not reload the pack.png. However, if I were to change the biome colors in the MISC folder and change that to something crazy like neon pink.
Also, just a little comment of somebody in the comments in the stream said I'm a bit low on volume.
Yes, and I fixed that already. I
Okay.
bumped you up. I realized my desktop audio was too low. So yeah, I'll reload this texture pack, and boom! You can now see the trees are purple. So yeah, this is really a great feature for texture pack artists, as they can just edit their texture pack, hit a save button, reload the pack, and continue working on it without having to re-zip up
Yeah.
the folder a million times to actually work on it.
And while we're on the subject of texture packs, I'd also like to note that we've added a few options to texture packs. So normally birch and spruce leaves. I almost said Bruce and Spurge. I almost said it again. Christ, birch and spruce leaves were hard coded. I'm talking a bit loud. Previously, there was no way to change the color of them. No matter what, they would always be the same color. You'd have to like go into the textures and try to cancel out the color to get something you want. And I've changed that, so there's a new burst. Christ.
Birch and spruce.
color.png, and it's 2 little pixels, the spruce and the birch color, and you can change that up to whatever you like. So packs like Logan's Autumn Pack can now make that, so they're not just green sticking out in a beautiful world of autumn. And additionally, we made it so you can change the color of redstone components. So you can change the color of redstone dust that emits from the redstone, or the dust itself, the torch, and so on, and you can change the color of the dust. So how that works is there's a line of 17 pixels, and all 17 of those pixels correlate to the redstone. The first 16 are for the 16 states of power the redstone dust can have off, and then the 15 extra levels of power it can have. And that also controls the color of the dust that comes out of it. And the 17th pixel is for the dust that comes off of other stuff. So dust that comes off the ore, the repeater, and torch, and whatever redstone devices I might be missing. Is that about it for texture packs?
That's all I can really think of. We do not have any of these features ready to show off at the time, but you can imagine they all work as we say they will. And there'll be texture packs that will be posted, like I'll probably make a blue redstone pack sometime soon, and just to kind of show off that new feature when we release 1.8.7.
Yeah, but if a texture pack artist has wanted to ever change those things, you can now change that. It's not like something that you can't change anymore. And yeah, since we're still in stuff that's in the settings menu, Logan, I'd like you to look at this iron sword.
Oh yeah, just
I
a
think
standard
that
iron
rock looks a
sword.
bit boring.
I do too. I feel like I could use a little enhancement. So let's go here. There's this new little thing called 3D items. Now, does it add like a 3D anaglyph setting to it, making it all look all woozy and stuff?
Yeah.
No, this is a port of the modern fancy items. So, they rotate.
And it's like it matches up the billboard rendering that items have in your hand, so that way, so it's a little bit stylistically consistent rather than the normal flat items that you would see. But if you like the aesthetic of the flat items, you can just turn this off. Although the default is on because it's more stylistically consistent. But it's not like tied to the fancy graphics settings. I don't understand why Mojang actually linked those settings, considering fancy graphics is more resource demanding than just this.
Indeed.
Yeah. So I also you probably expected this because I had made an add-on for this in NFC chat. The only difference really is there's an option. I didn't make an option for the add-on because if you're installing the add-on, you obviously want it on. So, yeah, that's about all for this. So,
in this specific subset of the update. Yeah, 3D items are 3D items, better texture pack support, and cloud height.
All I can really think of that's left in settings is that the FOV was moved out of video settings, like modern.
Yes,
that's really it.
Because we think that works a little better. Plus, it's just a better look. It's overall just a better location. It's nice just being able to go into options and do it. Even though, yes, technically it makes more sense in video settings, Mojang decided to put it in normal options, so we did too.
it directly affects the view of the game, so it's something that makes sense that it's just one click closer to the player.
Yep.
But yeah. So what is next on the list I gave you?
Well, the next thing on the list is some neat changes we made to the brick oven.
Yeah. And now this is starting to dive into new content. We wanted to get the small stuff out of the way first. We didn't just make small changes. Oh no, there is some big stuff coming. But first, we just wanted to get like that kind of stuff out of the way. You know, the convenience, the cool stuff.
By the way, I just want to make sure that everyone in the stream, you're hearing both of us correctly. There's some nice music in the background. If there's any audio issues or video issues, please do let us know. I want to make sure that nothing's being messed up here and that we're getting across the new content to you as cleanly and efficiently as possible.
Alright. So, Logan, why don't you go spawn in some bricks and try to craft me the brick oven? Just spawn in some normal bricks and show everyone what happens when you try
Will
to craft
do.
the
Just
oven.
let me look up the ID for bricks, because I do not remember off the top of my head. There we go.
It's 45, by the way, the ID for bricks.
Oh, I was making the brick.
You could just craft those into
Okay,
blocks.
so standard bricks. Ooh, I might have just accidentally shown off an extra feature. Okay, another small feature we add in: shift clicking out of crafting inventories. If you're in an inventory and you've crafted a bunch of stuff, you can just put the stuff in there, shift click the output slot, and it'll output it all into your inventory.
Yeah, basically it clicks the slot 64 times, so when you shift click, anything that can possibly be output will be. Now, this does mean that if multiple different items would be crafted, they all will be, but I might make it in the future so that if the item stack would be different, it will stop clicking on the slot. So like if you would craft I don't know, like 3 wooden pickaxes, then it would change to the wooden shovel. Instead of crafting all 4 of those,
Right.
you just craft the pickaxe.
This also means that, like, if you put like a stack's worth of cookie material in there and tried to craft a cookie, you would end up making 4 stacks of 16 cookies.
Yeah. So it's a convenience feature a lot of people wanted, but this means that if you could make different recipes with those same materials, just to be a little more careful and if you don't want any more recipes. So anyways, back to the oven. I want you to show what happens if you try to craft the oven.
Indeed.
Also,
So, firstly, as you should know if you've been playing Frontiercraft for a bit, or if you looked at the wiki, the recipe for the brick oven is 8 bricks in a circle, like the furnace. However, as you'll see, based on the stream, that's not outputting anything. Why is this? This is confusing. What happened? Did you remove the brick furnace? What happened? Okay, so what we did is there's a new block. Ooh, what's this? Charcoal has a fancy new texture now.
Exaggerating every small change. I mean, I kind of like it, but also he's saying that I'm still quieter than you, and he hasn't heard music at all.
I'll boost your
He's
audio
only
in
heard it
Discord
after
itself.
listening.
That should help
He's
a bit.
also saying he can listen to the music, but he has to listen very closely. But anyways, yeah. So we decided to change the charcoal texture to be distinguishable. It's not the exact same in modern, actually. I kind of took the modern texture and edited it a lot, so it's a lot darker and less detailed. So that way it matches the original coal, because in modern I didn't think the charcoal texture matched too much, but I otherwise thought it was a good texture. It just needed a bit of work to be integrated with beta, so...
Anyways, this is
it has been tweaked.
It has been
Beta
tweaked.
design.
Looks nice.
Yeah.
That's not the only little texture change though. There's a lot of new stuff that's kind of getting better on the fundamental side of New Frontiercraft, kind of modding wise and support wise, and there's a lot of structural stuff we kind of adjusted that helps make the game a little smoother around the edges. However, that stuff is hard to explain in a stream, and we're not really going to focus on it much. For that kind of stuff, I recommend you poke us, specifically me mostly and Road, on the New Frontiercraft Discord, which you can find a link to on the forums. So,
also, it's in the description of this live stream. If you're not in that Discord, you really should be in there. I don't understand why anyone wouldn't join it unless you have some sort of hatred for Discord, like that one moderator.
We had a moderator a while ago who decided, I don't like Discord, and then completely dropped it out of the face of the community. I think he came back once, but otherwise, yeah. But
Anyways, we're getting a bit off topic.
we are getting off topic. We were showing off the brick oven.
I told you to smelt those bricks twice. Hey.
But hey, let's show off the brick oven now. So, how do you make a brick oven? Clearly the recipe doesn't work anymore, so what do? Well, there's a new block now. Fired bricks. So, as you can see, you make these just by shoving some brick blocks into the furnace. And we're outputted with a fired brick.
Now I'm going to spawn a bunch of these in, so you could just use those ones to craft. Here's a bunch of these. But yeah, as you can see, it's like the brick oven sides texture, but on every side. So if you want to like use this in a build, you don't have to make a bunch of brick ovens facing away from where the player could possibly see the face of the oven, and a sad stack of ovens that will never cook a single item. Not anymore.
When I first started playing New Frontiercraft, I wondered, why did Zauja not do this? And now we've done it.
Yeah, he made such a great... This is honestly such a great brick texture, and I'm surprised he never utilized it.
As am I.
So,
however, yeah, as you can see, just put a of these fired bricks, and there you go. You get the brick oven. Boom. Here's a bricked oven. A bricked oven. That's exactly what I meant to say. By the way, the audio and Rode should be better now, as I did boost both the sound of both.
Music and the...
Yeah.
And me. Alright, so I don't remember what the ID for an osmium ore is real quick, but there's two things that people will notice about the osmium ore, and both of those things will be had in just a second as I get the osmium ore ID. Okay, it's 160. Okay, here, take that. Actually, take many of these.
Ooh, what's this? They look fancy.
Yeah, we tweaked the texture a little bit.
The texture is a little tweaked. There's some minor tweaks we made to some of the other ores, but we'll get to that later. They're a little annoying to show off and spawn all in, so we have a better demonstration for it later on. We're planning to give.
Yeah, but since this change specifically involves osmium ore,
I just discovered an issue. In the multi-MC instance, we forgot to package the brick oven texture.
Oh, well,
this is fine, though.
Yeah, we're not going to have that issue.
This will not be an issue with the actual build we release.
Yeah, this is just an error that was made while packaging snapshots and dev builds and stuff for... So yeah, this is something that can't really possibly even happen with the final release because...
Right, because the final release will not be missing anything. And if it does, you have full license to kick either of us.
Yeah, but we usually merge stuff instead of
packaging
from the ground up like we did with these snapshots. Yeah, so the osmium ore can no longer be smelted, and we thought it would make sense to instead...
Right, you can't smelt it in the furnace anymore. Instead, you put it in the brick oven. And as you can see from this purple line that's showing up, we are smelting it right away.
Yeah, I also changed the missing texture to the iconic pink and black squares.
Which looks a lot better, I definitely have to say. I think it's more of a thing from like Valve games than anything.
Yeah, but it's still iconic to the missing texture look. But yeah, the reason why I did this change is because I think it's titanium that has a lower melting point than osmium, yet for some reason osmium was smelted in a normal furnace.
Yeah, osmium has a ridiculously high melting point, however for some reason it was done in the furnace, even though titanium, which has a lower melting point, required the brick oven. Yeah, I'm the one I think who noticed this thing, if I recall correctly.
Actually, I just thought of it randomly and then changed it and then told everyone after I changed it.
Which I think I agreed with after looking it up.
Yeah, I looked it up before making the change. I'm like, wait, osmium is supposed to be super rare.
But yeah, here we go. It's now made in the brick oven. Just shove one of those in there, and it'll make your osmium ingots. Which, of course, work just like anything else, just they're osmium. Now, there is something I'd like to point out that we have done about osmium. So, One of the main things we did with 1.8.7 is we actually retconned the tier system a little bit. Now, we didn't adjust anything, we didn't move anything around. However, we did shift some values to make things make a bit more sense. For instance, osmium is a bit better now in some ways. Because before it really was the case where osmium was not worth it for anything because it just was a slow item that really was worse than anything else. Really, in 1.8.6 and below, steel was really the only material that was worth using for the vast majority of things. But yeah, there's been a lot of shifts to the balancing and stuff like that, and we'll get to that a little later. It's very bulky and technical and annoying to deal with. However,
by the way, sorry, I'm just responding to a comment in the chat.
I should probably be looking at the chat myself.
Somebody says that Bulletin says that it doesn't make sense to use the fired bricks in the oven. I think it does because one, it makes it so you have to have a furnace, an available furnace to make the brick oven, and two, the brick oven visibly uses this texture, so requiring you to make that.
Well, to be fair, I mean you need a furnace to begin with to make the bricks themselves.
I guess that's true. But
however, the fired bricks, you need to fire the bricks to make the brick furnace because I'm gonna say it's because the bricks that you make, firstly, are just like slapped together, and when you reinforce them by putting them into the furnace, you're like burning them together, and it kind of welds them. I know it doesn't really make scientific sense, but that's what I'm going with. This makes the most sense.
I just did it because then it matches the oven texture. But if that's what you think makes sense, then
I'm gonna go with that. That's now the canon of it. That's why it's being done this way.
Okay, sure. But anyways, osmium. So the biggest change to tiers was probably osmium. It has double the amount of durability now. And as well as it's a bit slower than diamond, but it's still, well, gem in general, but it's still much faster now. Like, instead of being like, well, why should I make an osmium pickaxe instead of just a bunch of bronze pickaxes? You can now make an osmium pickaxe because it has 10 freaking thousand.
Right, it doesn't just feel like you're using a bronze pick that never dies.
And it's pretty fast now. It's still not as fast as the fast pickaxes, so there's still a reason to use them if you need to go fast. But yeah, you have an actual reason to spend your osmium now. And as well as that, a good handful of other tools have been changed to be worth it. For example, stuff like gems, diamond, tungsten, stuff that you wouldn't really have much of a reason to craft either because their durability or other reasons. We're giving you a reason by boosting their durability a bit. So like, because one problem in 1.8.6 and below is that you couldn't really stay at a tools tier with that same tool because it didn't last long enough and it wasn't worth using. So I'm gonna see if I can pull up a list. Okay, so diamond, tungsten, titanium, gems, and I think one other pickaxe got a durability change. Don't worry, we're going to document this more thoroughly.
Yes, these changes will all be documented in the wiki.
Yeah, it's just...
The current pages will be deprecated. Including the add-ons page, which includes all the current 1.8.6 add-ons. Many of those, including more, will be added to the new wiki and the new documentation and forms page as 1.8.7 is released and we start working on getting everything built for this new version.
Yeah, and yeah, the reason why we don't really have it right now is just because there's been I haven't really had time to prepare anything much, or else I would have released a video like I did with 1.8.6. So yeah. One thing I also want to mention is that sword durabilities make a little more sense now. Osmium doesn't have the same friggin' durability as diamond now.
Yeah, because before the durabilities were completely just based off of the tier of the tool.
Yeah.
That's been changed.
So basically, it's this. We'll cover it on the durability page, but basically, each sword's durability is now calculated based on the durability of the tools set
For
it's from.
clarification, I'll show it off on the actual forums for anyone who doesn't know. So the wiki link, firstly.
Yeah,
Then you go to the ores, metals, gems, and stat charts. This shows off all the current specs. As you
By
can
the
see,
way,
like
Logan,
armor durability is based completely just on the tier. The sword damage is a bit quirky, but that's also based completely on the tier.
yeah, how gold had
Except for
like
gold.
4 times more durability than its.
Gold is a bit weird. It's kind of an outlier to everything. Like it acts like a tier 1 in some ways, but also is a tier 2.
Anyways, as I was saying, so basically the sword durabilities are still around what they were for some swords, and for the higher tier swords, that the durability is much higher, so it doesn't run out so fast. And of course, osmium is no longer even close to diamond's durability. It's much durable. It's the durability powerhouse that osmium is known to be. And finally, osmium armor now all has 400 more durability. Instead of recalculating armor durability, since those were typically fine, I just added 400 to osmium armor durability because it was the same as diamond again for some reason. I might come back to armor durability and flesh it out in the future, but right now I don't see a need to do that.
Road, I have a quick question for you. Have you managed to implement the tool fix that I have recently made into the latest snapshot?
Yeah, but for the server, I'm still not sure because the same issue is not present on the server. Like the part you fixed isn't on the server, so I'm gonna have to find out where that is. But that won't require like a client update or anything.
Right. At the moment, what I'm talking about here is I'll show off through the gold pickaxes. Basically, what happens is that while you're mining things, you like be mining alone and stuff, and on the last block that you break, as you can see, the pickaxe had the durability for the last block to be broken, but the server, because the fix hasn't been gotten there, it just phased out of existence.
Yeah, but this won't happen on single player anymore. We still are like trying to investigate why this happens on the server side, so we'll be sure to serve that fix on the server when it's available. And of course, that won't require a client update, so you'll just log into the server one day and it should hopefully be fixed soon. Yeah, by the way, we forgot to mention something when showing off the skin fix, the cape fix. I want you to come up to me and show a fix you made.
Well, yeah. As you would know, if you've been playing the older versions or New Frontiercraft in general for a while on any sort of server, you'll know there's a weird little glitch that appeared, where if you looked at a player when you were like a Steve model, and you looked at Alex model, like the one that Roadhog has right here, your arm would take on the appearance of the Alex model. However, as you can see, that is no longer happening. I made this fix by tweaking the ability, because the way it worked before was the game just said like, oh, if an Alex model is present, then display the arm as the Alex model. The issue was, if any Alex model was present in game, it would display that arm. Meaning if you looked at someone model, it would display that, because that's what the game was focused on.
Yeah. So we fixed it so instead of it getting distracted and finding using the Alex model of somebody else you're looking at or that's near you,
it specifically focuses on the entity player SP class, which is your player specifically. That's why I'm clarifying what it means after I'm saying it.
Basically, it's just based on you now. It doesn't.
Yes.
It doesn't get distracted. The game doesn't wander off. But yeah, so let's go back on the list, and I'm gonna check the chat real quick as you look at what's next.
Well, if we're going by what's next on the list, then we have some fun stuff to show off, which you have been seeing in the distance right there, if that little house that's built over there. So, as you can see, if you look closely, that's a weird-looking item. I don't think we even recognize that. What is that thing over there? Well...
So,
we've added in some new things that, honestly, one of which is something Mojang's had in their game for a while, and another of which should have been Mojang's game for a long time. We have added in stained glass and stained planks.
Yeah. So the stained glass is about the same, as approximately the same color as the dyed wool. However, since glass is like a hollow material and wool isn't, you can make 8 glass with 1 dye. However, no, we don't. We're better than modern. We have a brick oven, and we thought we would use it for the creation of stained glass. So the brick oven recipe is shapeless. You take 1 dye and 8 glass, and it cooks very quickly. And there you go. There's your stained glass. You get 8 of them per recipe. It's super simple to make. And for stained planks, it's actually more of a faded color palette. Some are more like dark and some are light and faded. It just depends on the color. We chose a variety of faded or off colors depending on which looked best for each color, because we found that using the same pattern for every single color kind of looked bad for some of the colors, so we wanted to make it so each color, so like the purple planks are dark and kind of off of the shade of what we have for wool, and the yellow planks are really light instead. So yeah, it's a really unique palette, and we think it'll be very useful for builds. Unfortunately, there are no slabs or stairs for them. The recipe is 4 planks and a dye.
The reason we say unfortunately is due to the fact that implementing a feature like that is not as easy as it would seem inside of beta. It requires a lot of... It requires adding a lot of stuff. It's kind of annoying to do.
Mouse.
We could totally do it, it's just that we're not really sure it's worth it, because it would eat up a lot of IDs that we could otherwise use, IDs and other issues that we could otherwise use for future features.
Just made sure. So yeah, it is 4 planks and 1 dye, and you get 4 dyed planks. Again, that recipe is shapeless. So we thought it would make sense to, if you use 1 dye on 4 planks, that it would look a bit faded, since I just felt like that would make sense for such a solid, rough object like planks. Meanwhile,
just to show off one of the
saturated color.
Stained wood. This is just because it's the default metadata. As you can see, this is the white stained wood. However, both the wood and the glass have the same exact color palette as wool does.
Yeah.
Also,
so again,
you can see one thing we have done that was a bit actually annoying to do, was you can actually see water properly through glass. We only fixed this like very recently when I found a fix online that we could use.
Yeah. We have credited the person who made this fix. It was actually surprisingly simple. I thought it would be really tedious to do, but in reality it wasn't. We just weren't looking in the right places. And of course, so with 1.8.7 will come a doc of credits for people who have contributed, and if you think you should be in there, if you made a contribution and we didn't include you, go ahead and yell at us and we'll add you to it.
Right.
And that doc will be shown off when we release the build. By the way, before we move on, I don't really think this fits anywhere because we already got past niche changes, but you can hear me building now on servers. It's not just silent.
I cannot hear you building.
I might have broken it. Yeah, but the client supports the server sending sounds to it now, and so what I'm going to do before I release this version is I'm going to make it so you can hear people building. It was working. I don't know why it isn't anymore. Yeah, that makes me look really good as a developer.
Quick question. I mean, is this down to the fact that I'm using a snapshot? Like, you hear these blocks being placed?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's just because I'm using the snapshot and he's actually using the final build at the moment, which have very minor differences between them.
I have no idea why, because I'm pretty sure I implemented those changes in the final build. Maybe I made some strange change to the packet that I didn't realize I made.
Either way, it won't be an issue with the final release.
Yeah, you'll be able to hear other people building, so if you're like AFK watching a video and somebody's building a obnoxious glass dome around you, you'll be able to hear it. Anyways, next feature. What are we gonna be?
Okay,
showing?
so we're gonna get back to some small niche changes. However, these are a little bigger. We feel as they're kind of more like gameplay wise. So firstly,
Yeah, and this does involve new content, by the way.
I'm gonna set the weather to storm for a bit. Now, as you know, this is generally in beta. The experience of storm is ear-deafening and a horrible experience for everyone involved that you immediately want to be over as fast as possible. However, as you can see, after I turn this on, what's this? It's not like ear-deafening and incredibly loud. It actually sounds like fairly relaxing and quiet.
Yeah. So rain is actually we've lowered the volume of we've lowered the volume of rain and made it had a better sound effect. That was still kind of grammatically shit, but at least I managed to say the sentence. And not so rain sounds have effectively went from to actually sounding like rain.
Right, so now it sounds like a standard set of rain rather than like a tsunami where like the world is ending and a cow's about to slam into your house because there's a tornado outside. We toned the rain down a bit.
And go ahead and place some blocks or break those fired bricks or something for reference on how blocks sound compared to the volume of rain. Why are you breaking them with a wooden pickaxe?
Why would I not be breaking them with a wooden pickaxe?
That's slow!
Do not question me.
You're gonna make viewers fall asleep with how slow you're being.
But as you can see, it's not like you can hear the sound of the block breaking.
Yeah,
over
like
the sound.
Most other sound effects are now dominant over how loud rain is, rather than rain dominating literally everything, and oh my god, it sounds like somebody is waterboarding me. But yeah, next feature. Actually, so yeah, we're still on, I almost forgot that this is like on the same list of changes, so I sapling 1, and so I have a few, so here's another bit of new content, grass.
So anyone who's been playing New Frontier Craft for a while knows that we have alpha grass and alpha saplings. Oh, firstly, this is a nice little tweak we made. So these grass blocks actually now properly look correct in the inventory and when they're placed. And not when they're placed. When they're like in the inventory when they're on the ground. You can actually see the side. Yes, they do look correct when they're placed, but they always have.
Before
you can actually see
both
like
used the same exact texture and they were indistinguishable because they didn't even have the different name. They were both just grass. So now you not only know which is which because of the name, but you also know which is which just by looking at it because it looks as it should.
Precisely. It looks like it does in game, not like a horrible monstrosity, which it looks like in every other version. Where it's just the side texture of alpha grass repeated a bunch of times around the texture.
Whoops. So I'm gonna take
Now, there's another little tweak we've made to the alpha trees. So as you know, there's been alpha saplings and
there actually hasn't been alpha saplings. That's something I just added.
So originally how it worked was that you would place a sapling on top of normal grass and it plant a normal tree. However, if you plant on top of alpha grass, it would create the fancy new alpha tree. We've changed this slightly, so now instead there's an alpha sapling, and show this off-road. When you grow the alpha sapling, we get some alpha grass. It
creates alpha grass. So you still can't like get the block as something placeable unless you're on a server that sells it, like the main server. But you can now like have the grass and use it in builds. So like you can plant this tree nearby where you want to use it and manipulate the grass and let it grow where you want it to.
Right, as all of this grass will grow, so all you need to do to make it grow however you want is just get rid of all of the standard grass and let it grow over it.
Yeah, so this goes to all sides. I just didn't plant this side because illustrating these sides would get the point across. And for big trees, the range is a little wider, and moving on. Right now the alpha oak saplings and the normal ones have the same texture due to limitations. It's kind of like coal and charcoal, but I feel like this is a little less important of an item than like the item itself, not the feature, is a little less important than coal and charcoal, so I didn't find it like an issue that I needed to fix. But once we have another terrain.png, which I do think is something that I eventually want to work on, I will be sure to give alpha oak saplings a unique texture. But yeah, they still have a unique name that you can identify them in the engine, so you don't have to worry about that.
You know how we were
planting an oak sapling above alpha grass will not create an alpha tree anymore, so you need to use the new sapling, which is found in dungeons. And as well as that, you can also find chain armor and telescopes and wrenches in dungeons now too. Now, take it away.
Okay, so you were talking about osmium a little earlier, and I realized that we forgot one thing. We had a new osmium block. An osmium ore storage block. So, like the diamond block, this uses the same kind of texture pattern.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Space pointed out that osmium is a crystal, so it should use the crystal block texture, and I think it's a very unique twist, because like an ingot, but it's like an ingot of a crystal, because it's more like a metal crystal. It's I can't really explain it.
Osmium is kind of wonky. However, it's cool because of that.
Yeah, osmium is kind of a crystal and a metal at the same time. If somebody asked you what it was, if it was one of those, you'd probably just answer yes. But yeah, osmium block. So I don't know why this wasn't a thing before, but you can basically just craft 4 osmium, get an osmium block if you want to flex how rich you are. Stop blocking. Yeah, is there anything else we need to show off before getting on to the next thing on the list as we start showing off the really big content?
Well, there is one thing, I believe. We add in a new type of block. Walls. So.
Yes, I actually forgot about walls completely. So this is a modern port, but it still has beta. Like, we still made it so it's not just a direct rip-off. Like, you can still craft the mossy variant because there's mossy cobblestone, but it has a full hitbox. So it's like fences, so you still can't step inside of it. So it's about the same application as fences, but I feel like it has, like, as far as using it to block off your crops, like, I mean, as far as utility goes, it has the same applications. But for builds, it's a completely different kind of use. Like, you could use it for kind of like rustic builds or something. Like, I saw somebody build a windmill with a farm in modern, and like had these nice walls around it. And this should blend in really well with I don't even know what you're doing. Blend in really well with stuff that would build that would generally fit a cobblestone wall instead of a fence. And I really like the way walls look. They're very simple, and I think they fit beta very well. And they're one of Mojang's very good ideas.
And I agree with that, and what I'm building looks horrific, so I'm going to move on from it.
I don't even know what you're doing, to be completely honest with you.
So...
Like, what you're doing is confusing me right now.
I honestly can't think of anything else we can cover before we move on to the next section of this showcase.
So we even haven't gotten to the main point of the update. This update has one big focus and another huge feature that is outside of that focus, which we will show off later.
Indeed.
But yeah, so are we ready to show that off yet, or are we still got more stuff to go?
I can't think of anything that we need to show off still. I think we've covered just about everything I could think of that's major about this update. I think we're ready to move on to the next feature, which, as you can see by the fact we have this little nether gate right here, you can assume that some stuff will be through this portal that are a little different than usual.
This has just been kind of chilling here the whole time, and this has kind of been subtly hinting at the fact that we've had content ready for the nether for this whole video, and we've been waiting to show it off for now, since there is a lot to get into here. So yeah.
So yeah, well, the road clears up the area a little bit.
So
Portal,
I
of course,
thought
is
this
ear
wouldn't
deafening as
go.
always.
Yeah, so I'm gonna just say that this portal is really far away from the one in the spawn of this test server. I have no idea why it took us here. So I'm actually gonna go to Warp Far Out and hopefully be able to start showing off some of the new content. So yeah, basically /warp.
And right from the
Oh,
start,
hey.
you'll see, ooh, what's this?
So yeah, I built this platform out of one of the new blocks. I guess since it's right here, I might as well tell you what it is right away. So similar to blue mushrooms in the overworld, you can now find blue glowstone in the nether, and it's basically just a cosmetic item. If you like flexing or just want a new light source to build off of that looks similar to glowstone but is blue, you can just so it's a really rare version of glowstone, as you probably could have guessed, and yeah, so it's kind of hard to spot. You have to look around all along the ceiling and to be able to find it.
Indeed. Now, you'll notice,
Kind
looking
of had a
around.
stroke saying that, so I'm just going to let you talk about this because
Quick question, should we turn the server difficulty on to peaceful so we don't get blasted to high hell by ghast?
well, we can't. There's no difficulty command. I'd have to restart the server, and I don't really feel like doing that right now. I can just use /butcher if there's a ghast pissing us off. But yeah, so by the way, all I'm gonna say is these stone bricks right here, those will be very important later, but not because of this stone right here.
Right.
It's like
Stone bricks, as
they're-
they are here, have not been changed at all.
However, stone bricks are something you might want to keep in mind in just a minute.
Right.
So yeah. So now there's a lot of new stuff to go on Nether that makes it worth showcasing. What do you think we should show off first? Actually, I see two things with my little eye.
I see
here.
3 things. I see 4 things we could show off right here that are feature-wise.
So by the way, I walked over that right now. I'm in God
Road,
mode. I'm gonna turn
I'd
off
recommend
God
looking
mode.
behind you.
Oh! Oh my God! I almost blew up.
You'll see a new feature we've added in, the fire creeper.
Oh God! I didn't
and
kill
now,
myself before doing that.
Roadhog exploded on top of one of our other features. But first, the fire creeper. As you can see, it's a creeper that blows up in the nether and has fire.
And its explosion is also a little more powerful. Like, I didn't die from that, but I was at full health and I was left at 1.5 hearts from an explosion that was about a block away. So be wary. Those things are just as silent and deadly as normal creepers, but with an extra bit of oomph. So now onto this. We got a new mushroom here. It just glows. That's all there is to it. What I really want to show is this, what looks like gray sand right here. And that would be exactly what it is, but if you have a keen eye, you noticed it actually hurt me. This is called scorched sand, and it's basically a really hot, like, pile of ash, or yeah. And it has smoke coming out of it to indicate that it's hot. However, you can get around this. So if I don't mess up the command horribly and I give myself a pair of boots, I am no longer being harmed by this. This does not damage your boots, but you can use boots to circumvent the damage this does to you. So before, if you thought armor was kind of bad, well, now you have a reason to at least craft boots and maybe some other pieces of armor to defend you from the new dangers that we're going to show you.
Indeed. Also, that's another small little aesthetic tweak. I just realized when hitting F5, there's now front view. So if you hit F5 twice, you'll get the front view like we're in modern. So you can just view the front of your player model. But yeah.
So
another thing I'm looking at right now, it's a new mushroom. It's a glowshroom. Yes, but I'm showing it off as well because I didn't get to look at it that closely. It's yellow. Look at it closely. It's gorgeous, isn't it? I forgot who did the textures for it.
Space.
Space did textures for this.
So yeah, I want you to come over here and take this pickaxe, and not your crappy wooden pickaxe. If you use it, I will do nothing because this stream depends on you right now. Ow, you almost killed me. Okay,
Possibly.
mine the ore, please.
So, you'll see it's white. What is this? Well, this is nether ash. What is nether ash, you might ask? Well, we're going to tell you because that's the whole point of this entire stream. So, what it is it's coal. I mean, that's basically it. However, it's a slightly better version of coal, as unlike coal, this will actually smelt 16 blocks rather than 8.
What? In a brick oven, it does. It's the same as coal in a normal furnace.
I am saying
yeah.
your own things.
Yeah, but yeah, basically, this is an alternative to normal coal, in case you might find coal harder to find, which I actually forgot to mention during the balancing changes. We made some more common ores a bit easier to find so caves aren't barren. So copper, coal, stuff like that, tin, all easier to find now, even though it was already easy to find. Like, it's actually populating cave walls, not spamming it, mind you, just making caves not empty. And coal is like probably one of the biggest factors, and stuff that shouldn't be rare but was, like silicon was changed. And so, as well as coal being easier to find, you now have an alternative to it. So for once, a resource mined from the world is now actually worth using as a fuel in the furnace, and there's 2 of them instead of just 1.
Now, if I'm looking over here in the distance, I'm seeing something else new. There's spires in another. What's with that?
Yeah. So, as well as the fire variant,
I'm going to stop
the creeper,
Taki speaking now.
Yeah.
Fire creepers. Fire spiders. There's fire
Yeah.
mobs now. They attack you and light you on fire.
Yeah, they're very basic ideas, but we felt the Nether needed some more dangers, and I thought it made sense to have some more dangerous overworld variants of mobs. But not only that, if I get out my diamond sword here, this usually one-hit kills hostile mobs. So now I'm in god mode, so they can't do shit to me anymore. But fire creepers still have the same health as normal creepers. They will be 1 hit by this sword. But fire spiders actually take 2 hits because they have 15 hearts instead of 10. So setting you on fire isn't much more of a threat. Their real threat comes with that you have to hit them once more with a full power sword in order to kill them. So if there's a couple of them, they can easily overwhelm you, not with any power, but with like a mob strength. And additionally, if you since in servers item drops are clumped rather than spread out, these 2 new mobs will drop. I'm gonna butcher that gas real quick. These 2 new mobs will drop, instead of 1 to 3 string of gunpowder, will drop 1 to 9. So you can get more of a material simply by using the Nether. So you put yourself at risk, but the reward is potentially much higher. So I'm not seeing any of the second new mushroom I added around here. So I'm gonna spawn it in and place it quick. Hey, it's this. Okay, so right here, perfect, the fire creeper actually helped me lighting up the area of fire. So I'm gonna show you guys this. Oh yeah, by the way, it should be noted that... Why can't I hear you, Logan? Have you been talking?
No, I'm not saying anything.
Okay, so I should also mention that Scorched Sand does not destroy items, and neither does this, but if I get out of God mode again, this will randomly damage you. Like, you noticed it took a little bit, because it's not instant. So like every instant you're standing in it, there's a chance you will be set on fire. And so you can use this. So you can use these 2 new blocks to build grinders. And of course, fireproof mobs are immune to both Scorched Sand and this Fury Mushroom. And as well, if you're stuck in the Nether and you don't really, and you're like on single player where you wouldn't be able to like just warp back to spawn, you can light portals using this mushroom.
Indeed.
So it has a utility use. Like, glowshrooms are just basically a decoration block, but Fury Mushrooms actually have some form of use, both in grinders and in helping you get out of the nether. And so, since the structures might be hard to spot, I'm going to go ahead and turn on a X-ray texture pack real quick and just warp you to a viable structure when I'm done. There's 2 new structures to note. One is the broken portal, which I don't really think I need to show off. It's just a nether portal, but some of the blocks are missing. Like, up to half of the blocks are missing. So I'm gonna go ahead and try to find one of these dungeons. I see him. Let's find one. That one. Okay. So I'm trying to find one. It's kind of hard to spot because the pockets that they would be in are very dark.
So in the meantime, while Road is wandering around trying to find something that we probably should have made a warp to begin with for this.
Oh, I found one. Okay, so
Okay.
I'm just gonna flash through. But what were you gonna say, anyways?
Well, I was just gonna ask the stream how you guys are doing.
Yeah.
Just make sure the stream's doing alright and everyone's enjoying what they're seeing. If they want me to make any tweaks to anything about the stream itself, or like any sort of like music request, for instance, just try to pick something that's not like obviously gonna get us like a copyright strike. Like I don't mind Road's choice of the Persona 5 music, but I've never seen that once, and if anyone else wants to listen to anything else, just send a request in.
So I found one. I'm just disarming it right now. 718.
So you'll notice one of the things about these is they kind of are embedded in the walls to a good degree. Like this is pretty far away from anything. One of the recommended strategies to find these structures is TNT. Just blow up large areas in Nether and eventually run into these. Quick question. What's the blast resistance on these blocks?
The same as normal stone bricks.
I feel like is there any way to make the blast resistance higher for the metadata values?
No.
Darn. In that case, never mind. Just thinking, we probably don't want people to accidentally blow these things up. Either way, are you okay with me showing off what it is?
Yeah, I just gotta get rid of all the creepers first, since this one happens to be a creeper dungeon.
So, as you can see, it's a dungeon. And
And you just blew it up. Okay.
Okay, the
so
creeper
I'm gonna rebuild it real quick.
The creeper saw me, like, and just blew... Why did it blow up just by seeing me from a...
You fell in the dungeon.
I didn't fall in! I was staring directly up at me and it blew up.
Okay.
Anyways.
Yeah. There we go. So, just give us a second as we rebuild this. Yeah, this is kind of just something we started because we didn't really have time to make a script or anything.
God damn it.
But yeah.
I'm an idiot. My god, why does it keep spreading? Okay.
Help?
Give me a sec.
Okay. I just drained every block of lava within a 100 radius.
Okay, bricks are place of nothingness. Okay, now we're good.
All right, sorry about that.
So yeah, as you can see, we've got new blocks. These
so-
are nether blocks. So, as we were saying earlier, these are based on the same kind of idea as the stone bricks, and they are actually the same blocks. They just use a new metadata value, similar to the glass blocks,
And
like the different
bricks.
different variations. So yeah, just look at these and they look all fancy and stuff. Now, like we were mentioning earlier with the redstone and birch and colors, these can also be independently addressable to have their color changed by the same fashion. So if you wanted to in a texture pack make these things blue, you could. You cannot edit the specific textures of these though, as they do base their texture on the actual stone block texture.
Yeah, again, limitations. We do plan on splitting up a lot of these textures that are limited when... And did my mouse just die? Oh my god. What the hell? Mouse... Okay. My touchpad. I'm gonna enable my touchpad. I hate playing Minecraft with a touchpad. But yeah. Hello? Am I still like connected?
Yes,
to
you
Wi-Fi?
are.
Okay. Yeah. Alright, so I'm gonna go ahead and put a spawner back right here. Do you mind looking away from the spawner real quick? Because I want to use an item that we haven't revealed yet.
And
So, yeah, I've just changed this to a... Okay, I'm done.
we're doing a thing. We're just doing a thing.
I've changed it to a fire spider spawner, so that way it's so that way it's less destructive. So
Fire
yeah,
spiders.
and this dungeon does have chests, by the way. You can find valuable stuff such as a certain new gem, which I think we should show off soon.
Yes. But yeah, the chests got blown up, but these have more valuable chests.
No, there was no chest.
There was no chest in this one, however, there normally is. And they have valuable stuff in them.
Yeah, you can find gold, rare, on occasion, obsidian, golden apples, iron, lava buckets, a new gem, and some other stuff that is currently slipping my mind. Oh, and cheese. You can find cheese in these dungeons.
Cheese.
It's no longer unobtainable.
Guess what? Cheese is now an actual obtainable thing. No, we did not add cheese ore. We're never adding cheese ore.
Yeah, that was a rejected idea that Logan was like, hey, this is a good idea. And then he was like, holy shit, this is a bad idea.
Yeah. Cheese ore is in the same state as weed in this new Frontier craft. Both were a meme for a while. Neither are getting added ever.
Dead though. Like, my mouse is still on. The laser is still on. Why isn't it doing anything?
Road is having some technical difficulties.
Like, I'm just having to use my mouse pad, which is frustrating. So,
anyways.
I accidentally spawned a spade instead of a sword.
Ooh, one thing that we haven't really mentioned yet is that both fire spiders and fire creepers, both of which actually have boosted drops. So when you kill both,
yeah, I did mention that. I mentioned that earlier.
You didn't.
Remember?
You didn't.
Yes,
mention
I did.
That.
I said how it drops 1 to 9.
I don't care. So if you kill those fangs, they drop more stuff. Whether or not you mentioned it, I don't remember you mentioning it, therefore I'm going to mention it again. If the stream reflects that he mentioned it before, I've retained the fact that I mentioned it again to clarify it to the audience. Anyways.
What is the... So yeah, I'm gonna quickly get the new ore because it's rare and I don't feel like searching for it.
Indeed. So we've added 2 ores actually to the Nether. One of which is the fire, the Nether ash.
So,
the second one of which Road is currently slowly getting right now.
Because for some reason I'm not able to find its ID on the list. I did. Oh my god. Search for it, you stupid Eclipse. There we go. 171. Alright. I did not add Onyx ore to the server registry, so let's just say, so let's just show off the block for now, and the ore is basically just the same, but black, and it fits, so it kind of blends in with the netherrack.
It's Onyx.
Here's what the block looks like. Yeah, it's Onyx. It's a sleek black. It's kind of hard to spot, but it looks really cool, and it's the same as gems, so it's about as rare as gems, so you can find it through dungeons or mining.
Honestly, you're more likely to find it in dungeons, but if you're just wandering
Yeah.
around the nether, willy-nilly, you'll eventually find it.
Yeah, we man it. I'm upping the rate because it was way too rare in the past snapshots, but in the final snapshot, it's actually a little more common, but we don't really have any new chunks right now. But yeah, I really like the way the block looks. So can you show what the tools look like spawning some of the tools?
Yes, I can. So, firstly, let's give this is what the gem looks like. I feel like we should go to a more well-lit area, at the very least, or not put, if not, put at least some glows. Here, let me put down some glowstone. Some blue glowstone.
So,
109.
and one thing I do want to mention before we move out of the nether is that we have another rare item. So just because the blue glowstone was supposed to be like something rare like blue mushrooms in the overworld does not mean there's not a rare mushroom. It's right there.
Indeed,
There you go.
purple mushroom.
And I accidentally picked that up. So Onyx tools are a jet black, and the sword actually is like smooth and radiated. And I actually want to thank the user that goes by the name of Anakin Guy for making some of these textures. Nine made a tweak to the gem, but Anakin Guy made pretty much all these textures with me making minor tweaks, and that's about it. He did the heavy lifting, especially the gem. I'm particularly impressed with how the gem came out. I really like it.
So as you can see, I've got them all lined up in my inventory. Actually, I don't have the hoe. But who
Crafted Onyx
would
hoe
ever
anyway.
make that? But it is implemented, so if you want to build
Imagine
that,
making an osmium hoe though.
it exists. If you want it, go ahead. I have no idea why you'd ever want to do that, though.
Yeah.
Other
So-
than vague plans we might have towards the maybe future, we're not sure. We have no idea. We might fiddle with stuff like that, possibly, maybe in the future. No commitments, no plans.
Yeah.
Possibly.
Also, one more time, there is another nether structure. It's called a broken portal. Basically,
Oh wait, this one
just-
this one you have mentioned.
yeah, I know, but I want to mention it one more time just because I kind of talked about it really quickly. I don't really feel the need to find one and show it off because the premise is pretty straightforward. Imagine a portal, but like 3 or 5 blocks are missing. There's your broken portal.
Yep.
Very simple.
And if you find like 2 of them, you have a good enough pickaxe, and then another, you can actually get back to the overworld.
Using from complete scratch. Like you can, if you have a good enough pickaxe, you don't even need to use your old portal. You can find a couple of these, but they are kind of rare. Like I don't see them very often.
I will
so
note it is not possible in New Frontier Craft to survive in the Nether. We do not have any
this
sort
is
of.
not a livable dimension.
There's no wood, so there's really
Yeah.
no way to get any sort of like tool progression.
Yeah, there's no way to survive in the Nether without bringing stuff from the overworld.
Right. I don't even think
So-
you can mine onyx with like a cobblestone pick, so you couldn't
Nope.
farm cobblestone either. So there's
pretty-
literally no way to survive the Nether just like as a single dimension in
Nope.
this version.
Yeah, the Nether is a harsh environment, and in this update we've reflected that by adding new dangers, but also rewards. So you have new building blocks, new blocks with actual uses, new ores, new hostile mobs that give you more rewards when killed, and loot.
So really it's more like we've made the Nether into a little more kind of like endgame content, However, just
you would actually
as an
want to
extra
go to it now.
layer of content. You want to come here, you want to build in this area, you want to
Instead of a
do stuff
barren
here.
instead of a barren wasteland that people would only go to like once or twice for some glowstone and soul sand and netherrack.
Exactly. That's the only purpose of it in beta, to get some glowstone, lava, and netherrack.
And now you're probably thinking, oh well, the nether is already largely explored on the main server. How am I going to find any of this? So you probably know that we have a warp named Warp 2 in the main server where you can go to find new chunks for 1.8.6. We are doing the same thing for this update, for the nether. So there will be a Warp 3, and it will have new nether chunks for you, everyone to explore. Is there anything else you can think of which is important to the nether?
I feel like we've covered everything.
Yeah, also another niche change, just press the / key on your keyboard.
Yes, if you type the / key, it immediately opens the text with the / being typed in.
So if you yeah, we didn't want to just port a bunch of content from Modern, but we do feel like Modern does have a lot of convenience to it, and we wanted to make some of that available to the player. So you could just do /home instead of T/home. Just one keyboard press, but sometime
it's more convenient.
Yeah, sometimes I forget that I can't press / to start a command and end up looking like an idiot typing P and somebody's name in the chat instead of /TP to that person. But yeah. So with everything there out of the way, do you think we're ready to show something big that we've added this update that doesn't have anything to do with the nether?
Well, it's only a small little thing. I mean, it's just... I don't know. Let's teleport back to the overworld first. I feel like we should go back to spawn first.
Spawn. I should be able to locate the wooden platform somewhere. I don't know which direction Space's house is in, actually, but...
Here, just let me do something real quick just to kind of see where it is. Just, let me go up here. Where is this thing?
Also,
look around the server a little bit.
Bug that I have no idea why happens, and I haven't been able
to fix. Right. Yeah, we had creative mode. Just a small little thing.
My mouse doesn't work. I tried to use my mouse, and I was wondering why my head wasn't turning. But yeah.
So yeah, we have the creative inventory now. Flight. All of this is optional, of course. You never have to touch this with a 10-foot pole if you hate it and despise it with all your heart.
In fact, on servers, on single player, we made it so single player worlds that are creative or survival, you can never legitimately switch game modes in a single player world. You have to use editors to do so. But on a server, there's a command, and of course you need permissions to use it, or you need to
Quick thing, freak, this is not modern encroaching on your game, this is classic, because creative mode has been a feature since classic, it just never was enabled.
Yeah, I don't really get why people say this is a modern thing. But yeah, Minecraft at its heart has been a free building game with infinite resources, and then it became a survival game. But I think adding a creative mode isn't just...
We added the creative menu from Beta 1.8 because it's the most convenient.
Makes a lot more sense.
It's better than trying to shoehorn in the classic one.
Yeah, but we have...
But ours is better.
You have a way to free build. You don't need to use commands, magic carpet, or some janky mods. It's all here. It's all smooth. It's all working.
So, firstly, to show you off it a little bit better, I'm going to go into a single-player world for a second. So, not all the features are available for the server. So, one thing you can see in the upper left-hand corner, there's a button called Creative Options. Now, these give you some nice little settings to kind of configure some stuff in the game. So, you can set it to daytime, nighttime, and that's just a nice little thing. So, it's some annoying...
Apparently, Freak was talking about hunger and sprint. Speaking of sprint, it is actually in the game, but you can only access it through creative mode.
Yes.
We just thought it would be an extra little convenience, so if you wanted to run somewhere, you don't have to fly to get that extra speed boost. Don't worry, we're not going to add sprint to the survival mode. It's just a creative convenience feature.
We probably will make like a little tweak and add-on that like enables it, but that'll be.
But yeah, it's not going to be something we ever add to survival mode. At least not without heavy restrictions or modifications. But
yes.
Don't worry. If we do change our minds and add sprint to survival mode, it will be with heavy community input, because doing something like that would be highly controversial. So creative mode only, just a minor little convenience for movement and creative. That's it.
I will also note the fact that there is literally no difference between creative mode and something like how many items or too many items plus single player commands. They are the same, it's just this is slightly more convenient.
And not clunky and prone to break.
Right. Ooh, if you're seeing, while I'm scrolling down to the bottom of the inventory, you'll see some new stuff. We've got spawn eggs.
Yeah. And we thought part of building might be playing with mobs, and so we brought that feature to beta. I didn't feel like making it so the layers are there, so all the eggs are just one color. But you can spawn a mob wherever you like. So yeah, you can make this. I can take this slime spawn egg and I can put a slime on our wooden platform, and hostile mobs will not be aggroed towards creative players. So this is kind of like a semi-port from beta 1.8. Goodbye, slime, you will die, and you will see that slimes do not make an animation when splitting anymore, because they're splitting, not dying, so they don't play the dying animation anymore.
Now, you'll see what I just did right there is we have a very like modern type middle click system, where if you middle click an entity, for instance, you can actually get a spawn egg for said entity.
I made this and it was really hard. Like, getting middle click working took so long because there were so many little things.
I would like to report a bug, Road. If you middle click a player, the game crashes.
Okay. Yeah, okay, I'll fix that in the final release. Good thing we found that. But yeah, basically you can just middle click a block to get that block. You can middle click a mob to get its spawn egg. You can even like middle click a boat or a painting to get that thing.
Pretty much every block in the game you can middle click to get said block.
Yeah, this is kind of like a semi-port from beta 1.8. Like,
spawn eggs, I believe, were added in 1.1.
I think 1.2, but I don't care. That's not
one or the other.
But yeah, so it's a semi-port, because even though the menu and flight and the whole thing was like from creative, there's a lot of stuff that I needed to change or add myself. Like mobs not aggroing on you, spawn eggs, the more fleshed out creative menu, because before the blocks menu was kind of weird and limited and wouldn't work with mods. The creative options, mobs, I already mentioned mobs not aggroing. Middle click, being able to switch to the survival infantry.
Did you hear that mobs don't aggro anymore?
No, they don't aggro to creative players.
Yes, to creative players.
Yeah.
So we added Joe. The survival inventory, you can access this and actually just like... The reason Moten did not add this is because they're stupid. And is why they took until 1.3 to add this. And after they completely shifted the entire menu, it's just literally code in a button to switch the inventory. That's all it is. So yeah, you can actually access the survival inventory and just mess around with stuff and see your inventory and swap out items and craft stuff. Because why would you not be able to do that?
It's a good thing we're doing this in like a live stream format, because we have found the Onyx ore not working with servers and the middle click, and we are able to fix that before releasing it, so there's no like serious problems. I mean, I barely even consider middle clicking a player crashing the game a serious problem, but I mean,
because it's only a thing you'd run into in creative, I believe.
Yeah.
I'll double check that real quick in survival. No, it does it as well in survival.
Yeah, but middle clicking is still a little bit improved in survival, because before, if you middle click a block, it would just take if the block was in your hotbar, and it'll take your cursor to that block in the hotbar. Now it still is only limited to blocks in the hotbar at the moment, but now it actually respects metadata. So if you're holding So if you're looking at blue wool and white wool, and you have that in your hotbar, when you middle click the blue wool, it'll actually go to the blue wool instead of just going to the white wool because it's the first thing in your hotbar. So it'll actually respect metadata now, so you don't have to, like, I mean, that's the smallest thing ever. I don't even actually know why I'm mentioning that.
So we did mention that we were going to show off the stained wool a bit better later, and I feel like this would be a good time to do that. So we can fly over somewhere else where there's a bit more stained wool being used while we keep talking. In your spawn.
So.
But yeah, we've had a lot of new features. We've been working on this for a while.
Creative mode is probably the biggest thing we've done, because not only will it make server administration easier, because I can use the flying to get around easier, and it'll make contest reviewing easier. It'll make so many things much easier without using magic carpet and stuff, which is slow and like obstructs the view of builds. But also it makes free building easier instead of using a bunch of spawning commands like one would previously do and mods and stuff. Again, we've already said this, but I'm just, because it's relevant to what I was saying before, I'll just say it again since my sentence is already flown to it. You can just use creative mode instead.
So one thing you can see that I'm showing off right now is this awesome stadium that's been built on the testing server, which utilizes a lot of the testing blocks, the new blocks that we implemented, such as the red stain planks, which as you can see are more of kind of a burgundy color, so they're nice kind of deep red.
By the way, if you even are involved with the community, you could probably guess without beyond a shadow of a doubt that Metallica built this.
Yeah.
I don't know why he has an obsession with building huge, awesome. This is probably his best stadium.
This really is. I mean, this is even better than the one on the server.
Most detail. Yeah,
like
this one has the
this
most
is really
detail.
nice looking.
I mean, the difference though is he built this one in creative mode, while the ones on the server were all handmade in survival.
Yes.
So yeah, we won't be allowing like moderators on the server to use creative mode at all, and I won't be allowing admins to use it to cheat.
But there's no admins who have any interest in cheating.
Yeah, Space hasn't done it before, and I doubt he would do it now. Although knowing him, he would probably build PPs around the spawn because it would be easy. So, yeah. This, I'm just really happy I got creative mode working though. This was like this took like 2 weeks counting the middle click and all the extra stuff and testing, because there were just so many little things and little issues and other. Here's the thing. Here's a little piece of trivia. Doing the fly was actually a complete accident. I was gonna do fly, but it just came to me. Like I was trying to get sprint working in creative mode, and I did, and then I fell into a pool of lava, so I just tried to jump out, and I accidentally double tapped my spacebar and nearly gave myself a heart attack when I flew out of the lava pool and realized that I had also gotten fly working.
So you're telling me when you were ripping out all the methods from vanilla, you accidentally got flight working?
Yup.
You never told me that. I thought you you accidentally put this in here.
Yeah, I was gonna do fly anyways, but I was like, okay, I got sprint working. It's time to do fly. Holy shit! That was basically it. Like I was about to be like, all right, time to get working on. Uh-oh.
I'd also like to note that there is a not fully featured, but mostly fully featured port I made actually a while ago to standard beta 1.7.3 for the creative mode that Road made.
Yeah.
So if
but
you want to,
we kind of kept quiet about it because if anybody from the NFC community saw it, they might have been like, "Oh yeah, this is definitely getting into NFC. There's no reason why it wouldn't."
But yeah, if you want to mess around with that, that's on Modification Station, which is a nice beta community for modding and stuff that we've gotten actually a lot of help from for developing New Frontier Craft. We definitely recommend people check it out. There's a lot of cool mods. I'm an admin there. It's owned by Zyga, who's a cool guy.
Well, now that we've revealed creative mode, we should probably show off the texture changes that I did for the ores and J Degsby did for the gems. So because it would be waited for creative to tell you guys this because there's so many ores and it would have just been much easier to grab them from the menu when we showed it off.
Indeed.
So yeah, you've probably saw this on the server's news channel, but if you didn't, either because you weren't paying attention to it, because we excessively ping everyone, which I promised to stop doing. I won't ping everyone unless it's really important anymore, like space pinging everyone just to say stupid stuff. That's not going to happen anymore. We're only going to ping everyone. Anyways, if you muted the channel because of that, or because you're not in the Discord server, which why aren't you in the Discord server? I had some polls and these textures went over through some revisions. The purpose of these changes were for copper and aluminum here to make them a little more like closer to realism, because iron ore isn't silver, it's like this tan color like it is in real life. So we reflected that for aluminum, making it a little rusty like the ore is, and making copper green. And each ore also has, well, not each ore, but some ores have their own unique twist to make them visually distinct. So obviously copper and aluminum are these, and also copper is upside down because it would have been maybe confused with lead, so I wanted to be sure that didn't happen. So copper is upside down now as well. Let's see. Platinum ore is sideways, so it wouldn't be confused with titanium here.
This is zinc.
I mean, zinc. I can't middle click on a mouse pad, or else I would have verified. So tin and chrome have this more dense pattern. There's really no reason behind this pattern. It's just another ore pattern to make it distinguished from the rest of the ores, so that way you don't confuse some other white ore for chrome and then get really disappointed when it's not chrome. Anthracite just has a few extra pixels, so it doesn't get confused with some other black ore like boron. Like, oh hey, I found anthracite. Oh no, it's just boron. Titanium here is more dense. It has more like ore pixels. So because to make it visually distinct, and also because titanium is dense, I think. Even if it isn't, it's still visually distinct. And the gems here, the gems were already pretty visually distinct, but they're special, so we just gave them like the gem texture from 1.3. So you have the emerald ore, which isn't a port from 1.3. It's a little greener to match the NFC emeralds. And then we have sapphire and ruby.
Slide right here in the middle, you can see onyx.
Yeah, that's the onyx ore, because I forgot to make it so you could spawn the ore on a server. Again, that won't even require a client update if I forget to do that by release. So don't worry.
And finally, these last two blocks are boron and platinum.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So every ore should be uniquely identified. Ones that don't have a unique pattern are no longer able to be confused with ones that I have gave a unique pattern. And yeah, I was about to say the gems. So a player by the name of Jay Degsby, if I'm even pronouncing that right, made these gems, and they honestly look a lot more accurate to vanilla than Zauja's did. Of course, Zauja's will still have a special place with NFC, and of course I will probably be releasing like some sort of reversal resource pack to make all these ores and the gems back to their old look, because we want to give people an option to go back. We don't want to permanently lock something out like Mojang does all the time.
Right.
So you have these new gem textures, which if I get a diamond for reference, and a diamond ore, a mouse pad. Let's see, where's the diamond ore? It's somewhere around here.
It's near the top.
Yeah, we're gonna add oh, I got it. We're thinking about adding a search function in a future version to creative mode. I don't really feel the need to add a fancy tab system like 1.3 has, but we still find it necessary to make a search option. There. Picking up. How did you pick it up? You were so far away. So
Beats me.
Now, as you can see, these are way more accurate to the vanilla gem style, and it all matches up really nicely. And we thought these changes wouldn't affect builds too much,
Honestly,
and
Road,
wouldn't affect the aesthetic of the game.
you should really make sure you didn't mess up the player hitbox somewhat, because I am picking up stuff from like way too far away. It feels like almost. So I definitely want to.
Items generally are that way. I didn't mess up. I didn't even touch the player hitbox at all, but yeah, couldn't really actually even tell you why that happened. That is a little far away. I think it's just items being janky, because items are items. They kind of just behave the way they want to.
Anyways, yeah, this is what they look like. See all the gems look all nice and stuff.
I already repeated myself like 4 times.
I don't have a texture pack really to show off what they used to look like. Actually, I think I do. Yeah, here it is. The NFC 1.14 textures I made a while ago. These show off the old textures. It's mixed with kind of new texture appearances, but
I think after we release 1.8.7, we should work on getting everything else in the 1.14 style pack to match up with Joppa's textures. Joppa. But yeah, Joppa's textures. So that way everything is stylistically consistent, and the style of the new textures doesn't abruptly end as soon as NFC's textures are.
Agreed. I haven't really made a full build of that thing ever. I've just kind of I had a couple of test builds that I never really actually fully pushed out there. Yeah. But I'm definitely going to make a final build of that I'll push out to everyone to use.
Yeah, I think we should do the tools first, because there's so many of them, and then afterwards it should be a cake block. We just do the blocks and stuff, and yeah, it honestly shouldn't be too difficult. But yeah, we do plan on releasing some texture packs. Faithful should have a day 1 release or somewhere around that. Legacy pack is already updated. I don't really know if any other texture packs.
Yeah, as you can see by me browsing through here, there's already. It's not the right Legacy pack, but this one, there's a couple new versions of Legacy pack as well.
Yeah. So, yeah, I hope Space doesn't mind me telling you guys this, but since Logan already showed off those versions, it's leaked anyways. Space is making a 16 and 8x versions of Legacy pack. So if you like lower resolution packs, or just need it because your computer can't handle 32x for some reason, or just like the look of the default resolution, Space is providing versions of Legacy pack that are lower resolution. The 8x pack has a bit of a problem with animated textures. It's just the way the game loads animated textures. I'm pretty sure there's no good way to fix that. I'll try to look and fix it in a future version, but yeah. The animated textures don't look irregular at all. It's just they look a little bit different from what he made them as. So yeah, it's not like any serious bug. It just is a strange anomaly more than anything. But yeah,
Oh, there's one feature we almost forgot to mention: the telescope. The glass texture, actually, you'll notice, is a little faded now when you're using it, rather than being fully opaque with the thing. It's a little transparent now, so it's a little easier to see through.
Yeah, and now, do you think we're ready to say when this stuff is going to get released?
Yeah, if you're confident about the release day.
I'm pretty sure we can get this out by... When do you think we should get it out by Saturday?
Oh my god, don't make me make the decision. Saturday. This Saturday, the 18th.
I wanted you to say it as the streamer, but I realized that was kind of stupid now, since I was the one who started talking in the first place. But yeah, Saturday, April 18th, sometime around noon Eastern Daylight Time, or whatever time zone. What time? Were we going to base it off your time zone?
Noon CST. So.
Okay, noon CST. So at noon Central Standard Time is around when it should be released.
Unless something goes horrifically wrong.
Yeah, but if anything, the worst case scenario should be that it just releases a few minutes off schedule. I can't really think of anything else going wrong. I know that's a super cliche thing to say, but we're sure about it.
Freak is saying we're like an old married couple. with how we argue. Yeah. I can't think of anything else we've really tweaked or added past everything we've shown off. I mean, we've had a good amount, but I mean, it's not like it's not the industrial update. There's still like
I'm just gonna look through the client changelog just to be sure that just to catch any small changes. Okay, one thing I did on servers, if you spam clicked a mob, it would only damage the tool if the mob was actually hurt. No, I'm not implying that I'm removing this. In fact, I'm doing the opposite. I'm carrying this over to single player. So if you spam click something, it won't absolutely decimate your tool. Instead, it will only damage the tool if the mob actually took the hit instead of being in between cooldown. So that's one thing. Another thing is that if ice was above water, the top face of the water would become invisible, and that would look really weird if you actually went under the ice and looked at it. So with the render fix, where you can see water through glass and ice, not only is that weird quirk fixed, so water doesn't look ugly and awful when when ice is above it, but now you can actually see the water under the ice. Let's see what else I've got here. Oh yeah, doors, redstone signs, anything that was an item that placed a block now has a placing sound. Let's see. TNT ignites with right click instead of left click, and it also actually damages the flint steel. A few typos were fixed, such as chainmail chest plate being what the helmet was called, and diamond helmet being called diamond helmets. Cobwebs can now be sheared with shears, and you can find more of it in spider dungeons. So you can actually use cobwebs in your builds now because you're able to obtain them.
Now, Road, there's a couple new discs that I think we should show off, as these are not secret discs.
Oh yeah, I forgot about two things of the loot.
Now, I will note there is another... no, there isn't. However, there is going to be one in the next version. But there is two new discs. Now I'm doing your thing where I'm stuttering. These are not secret discs. They are accessible via normal gameplay. However, yeah.
So the regular dungeons had 13 and Cat, and these two songs will be Snuffleupain's a Snuffleupain original song and C418's Dog.
So the Snuffleupain song is called Painful Nostalgia. Can you hear it that well?
Hopefully.
No, because I have music turned off. Okay. So if you play it, here it is.
Subtly, I'm going to go over kind of the other changes in a somber voice so the music is easier to hear. Crops will now grow slightly faster in rain. Boats will now drop themselves instead of sticks and planks. Slightly decreased chance to find gems in a dungeon because it was kind of common. Ice placed by players, if the player breaks the ice, it'll create water, but if it melts naturally, it will not. Leaves placed by players will never decay. Mushrooms can no longer be placed in areas where the lighting would immediately break them. Dandelions can be placed on any solid blocks since they're a weed. So, weed in NFC kind of, I guess, but not really, unless you are really desperate. Snow can be placed on leaves. A pick block, now I already said that. Let's see. Just going through a change log I made. That's off script. Oil buckets are usable as fuel. Lava has been nerfed to be as good as anthracite, and oil is also just as good as anthracite. And I plan on maybe tweaking this in a future update. Lava and oil, when used as a furnace fuel, will now return the bucket, but of course it's worse now, so it's not very overpowered. A certain secret block can now be found in the overworld and the nether instead of just the overworld. What that secret block is, I don't know. Stone, bricks, logs, and leaves now have unique names to define the variants of the blocks instead of all just being called leaves, stone, bricks, and logs. So like the T cut of stone bricks that was sort of based on the modern bricks is now called T cut. The small bricks are now called small bricks. The Y offset is now called Y, and so on.
Better names.
Let's see. The continuity of some textures, like a few off-palette tools, have been fixed. Like this is extremely like most of you probably didn't even notice this. It's just like some swords were slightly off shade. For example, that was fixed. You can now clear keybind with the escape key, which means that, for example, I don't like the fog change key, so I can turn it off by just going into the controls and binding escape to it, and then it'll be no key bound to it at all. Snow plays the correct sounds instead of sounding like wool. The orange secret disc didn't play its song before because the file was named incorrectly. That will be fixed. Whoops, I just went back on my list. Okay, there we go. Oil used to have a bug where the bottom of it would be blue like water. That is fixed. Sand now treats oil as it does as any other liquid, so sand cannot float above oil. You can place blocks in oil now, so if like you're mining and then you get attacked by oil, you don't have to go around it. You can just place blocks in it. Oh, jukeboxes were originally bound to the sound slider instead of the music slider, and sliding that and using the slider while a song was playing didn't change its volume. It only affected the song's volume when it initially started playing. Speaking of music, I think they've heard enough of the new song. I think you change it to dog.
Indeed. Let's get
If
some more.
If you want the songs without interruptions, you can, or me talking, you can either go in game when the update releases and listen to them, find these songs online, or rip them out of the game files when it releases. The stone brick stairs recipe used to use the wrong type of bricks. This has been fixed.
That was fixed in the first build of 1.7 that I made, but yeah, we're finally fixing that, so...
Yeah. Oh yeah, stone bricks, previously, they would always drop stone. Zhao just said he fixed this in 1.8.6 and just didn't, for some reason. I don't, know how he just logged a fix he didn't make. But yeah, now they will drop the correct block, so you're probably wondering, well, how am I going to get my stone back? Well, you can smelt it. So you can smelt the bricks, and you'll get the stone back. And for the nether bricks, we actually forgot to mention this, you cannot craft them with netherrack, you have to find them in the dungeons. You can also find extra stacks in the chest, like you can find 1 to 32 extra nether bricks. You can craft the nether block into anything else. And when you smelt those bricks, instead of getting the netherrack, you'll instead just get the default nether block back, so you don't lose bricks by smelting them. Let's see. So for texture pack creators, you'll probably notice the sideways stone slab had a different texture. Instead, it's not a texture anymore. Instead, it rotates the default texture. This should have been how it was all along.
We did a similar thing to one of the secret features, where now that also uses one texture rather than taking a ton of space in the texture grid.
Actually, 2 textures. So
2 textures. Yes.
I'm only going to give a hint by looking over here as I say that, but this specific secret, before it used a whole row of textures, and you might be able to spot this if you actually have been in the texture files. But now this is fixed. It only uses 2 textures, one for its evolved state and one for its not evolved state. I'm really trying to say this without giving away the secrets, but yeah. So that way you can still make it look different when it's evolved, but it only uses 1 texture, and it just, yeah.
It frees up a lot of space for us on the texture grid. That way we don't have to speed our way as much into retconning the terrain system and the
So
texture loading system.
there's also a bug with the way Zauja fixed native texture support. Like before, you may have noticed that even though he fixed it so higher resolution texture packs would properly render items in the hand without looking all glitchy, item blocks like saplings, blocks that still rendered like a billboard in your hand, would still have this issue. Like saplings would still look glitchy even though Zhao just said he fixed it. So that is no longer an issue. Item blocks like saplings or flowers have now undergone the same exact fix. Let's see. Oh yeah, scaffolding sounds like wood when stepped on or broken instead of stone. I don't know why he did that. And fences and pumpkins no longer require a solid block below them to place. I've personally thought because they didn't need a block below them to stay there, why did they need a block below them to place in the first place? So you no longer have to place a block below a pumpkin or fence just to get it in the air. And that concludes everything in the changelog.
We also added Joe.
Whatever that means.
I will not
is up
clarify.
to you.
Thanks
for coming to our TED Talk.
There will be no clarification. If you dislike our update...
Oh my god, this is one huge thing that we almost forgot to mention. The .lang file, that was not used by items or blocks. For some reason, Zauja took that out and instead made the names unchangeable, hard-coded.
Indeed.
Now,
Zauja
now
No, I'm going to tell him about this because I'm the one who fucking made this entire thing. Okay, so, lane support. Zauja decided when he was working on New Frontier Craft at some point that, oh, I'm sick of doing all this extra work for trying to define all the stuff in the lane file, so I'm just going to set it up so the game is hard-coded with specific name values, and that's just how it's going to work now. So, inside of New Frontier Craft, up until this point, names have been hard-coded, meaning if you change any sort of thing in the lane file, it wouldn't do anything. With this change, we have also added a lot of additional lane support to the game, so you can now...
That was you.
Yeah, I did. However, Road shoved some stuff in as well at the very end to clean it up.
A few things, but that doesn't mean
I did this.
Take credit at all. Like this was totally a you thing. But yeah.
Yeah. My cat's trying to get out of my room.
So there's no language menu at the moment, but you can still change the names of items by modifying it in the jar. In the future, we will be adding some way to change the languages in the game. But for now,
in 1.8.7, you can make it so like you have like a jar mod for Spanish or Swedish, and patch it into the game.
There's not many font characters that are supported right now, but additionally, we do plan on like making a language menu or something like that, as well as support for more characters in the future. So if you wanted to translate NFC to Japanese or some other language that doesn't have any font support in beta, we'll be adding that in NFC eventually.
Which should work fairly simply, as all we need to do to define these new characters is set them up to use a specific font image and just initialize the characters with the game so the game knows these are real characters.
Yeah, there's already a font that initializes every character within a text file, and that thing is fairly easy for me to understand.
So we just add whatever character we want from a foreign language in there, and there we go. It'll be implemented to the game. So yeah, 1.8.7 adds a lot of structural stuff that makes language support a lot better. And
yeah, one thing as well as being able to hear other people place blocks, which for some reason isn't working on Logan's end, but I promise that it will work when NFC 1.8.7 is released. Cave sounds, they work on servers. Before, you'll notice that they never play on servers. They will now. All you have to do is just wait and listen. I don't even know why I started that with an all you have to do.
But yeah, honestly, like, any support for any language, once we release the update, you can any individual could just open up the lane file and start making translations. It'll be in the EN_US. the lane
And
file.
I also want to say, even if like the characters aren't supported, you can still make the translations and like put it on the back burner because we will be adding better language support in the future.
Yeah.
So hopefully there will no longer be a language barriers for players in other countries who don't know English, and hopefully more people will be able to enjoy the mod.
For
You
now,
know,
my
I find it
recommendation when making a translation is just, if you got a character that's not implemented in Minecraft anywhere, just do the rough translation you can, like with like German when it's like the
yeah.
S symbol, and you just use two S's instead of like the thing that looks like the B, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Use the rough translation you can. But this is mostly in reply to Idiot Gamer saying Portuguese support coming soon.
Yeah.
If someone that speaks Portuguese wants to make some lane support,
Yeah.
sure.
Like, what I'm probably going to be porting first is Cyrillic Russian, because somebody in the community by the name of Barivan, I think, I don't know how to say
Yes,
that, made
beats
it.
me.
Made some Russian Cyrillic characters. We're going to add that. We're going to add some languages we feel like might be important. I'm personally also going to try to port Japanese hiragana and katakana to NFC as well, so that will be available. I don't really have much else to say as far as this whole update goes. I'm pretty sure we've just scraped all edges.
Well, I just started hearing something that we almost missed. Creative music. We have, with creative mode, we have added in creative mode specific music from modern versions that you will start hearing playing randomly while playing the game in creative mode.
And if you don't like them, just go into your Minecraft resources folder when you download the updates, delete them, they will be gone.
Yep, and they won't play.
Yeah, they're in their own folder, creative, you can't miss it. But yeah, basically, modern, if you don't know, it has 6 songs which only play in creative mode, and they're all made by C418, and they're brilliant. Songs that really fit the building mood that creative mode has, that don't quite fit survival mode, but instead fit the kind of free roam that creative has. Like, what do you think of them?
I don't personally have that strong of an opinion. I generally like to keep the Minecraft music off anyways.
But yeah, so I feel like we've completely cleaned this out. I have nothing else to say personally.
Well, there's also minute changes, like we have proper support for the game being called New Frontier Craft now, as you can see by the window itself, as well as there's an icon for the game.
I forgot about that. It was right in front of me the whole time. Yeah, I made a New Frontier Craft icon, and the game window says New Frontier Craft, so that way, instead of a Java coffee cup, you can see New Frontier Craft clearly defined on your taskbar.
One thing we actually should do that we haven't done yet is actually change the icon for the YouTube channel. We did recently, the old method, I believe, of how it was drawn, if I could speak correctly.
He just took a picture of a block of an NFC grass block at a very specific angle. But yeah, now it's rendered like with actual rendering code instead of just a picture.
Meaning it looks a lot more clean.
If you got a keen eye, you probably actually noticed the server icon changed, and this is why. The New Frontier Craft game icon is exactly the same as the server icon without all the extra
There
stuff.
is a new variant of the icon, because as you control the background dynamically, there is a version of the icon specifically for the Nether update.
I'm actually going to change the server icon to that right now. So we've got a server icon, and I'm going to change it right now.
But yeah, I'm thinking we'll probably be changing the YouTube icon to either that or the standard one we have. But yeah, this is just a nice little thing we have had in. And Advanced OpenGL is bad. I never liked it. It always gives me weird performance things and quirkiness. I'm responding to Idiot Gamer commenting on my lack of play of Advanced OpenGL.
Oh my god. I need to actually... So why don't you do Advanced OpenGL anyways?
I don't know, it gives me some weird quirkiness in my experience.
Maybe that's why the glass thing happened, because Advanced OpenGL tries to hide faces that aren't being rendered, and for some reason Advanced OpenGL thinks those faces that are being hidden. There's a weird thing. Even though you can see stained glass through stained glass, sometimes you can't. I can release some weird wacky gifs if anyone wants me to, because honestly, it's really fun. It's like those optical illusions, except it's not really illusion, it just goes directly to fucking with your head. It doesn't beat around the bush by making some crazy illusion.
I will note there is
fun.
a little bit of weird quirkiness about like occlusion between different glass blocks. Like sometimes
that's that's what I was talking about. That's literally that's what I was saying. It's
you were
funny,
saying it a
and
roundabout way that I couldn't understand.
Yeah. I was basically roading, saying weird shit that actually is really simple and makes sense. I just fucked it up. Also, you're probably noticing cobblestone in the hills. If I'm not sure if Logan flew near any of them. This is actually a rejected idea. We almost added cobblestone veins, but we took it out at like one of the last development versions.
The idea of cobblestone veins, they don't look horrible. It's just that we don't really feel like they really fit the aesthetic, and
we tried to make the world more natural looking, and we decided
it doesn't really look more natural. It just kind of is weird for a new player because it's just like
people a false hope that there's a dungeon or a player build.
Overall, it just doesn't really look that nice, so we're not adding them.
Anyways, we started the stream here, and with everything out of the way, I think we should end it right here.
I agree with that sentiment.
I almost forgot to break that.
There's not really anything else I can think that we've added or changed or tweaked. We've covered everything. This is 1.8.7.
I really hope everyone enjoys everything we've added. If you're not sure about any features, do let us know on the Discord.
If you want us to change something fundamental about 1.8.7 that you absolutely despise, let us know before Saturday, because that's your last chance.
No, I'm not removing creative mode.
We're not removing anything in like major we've added. However, we are open suggestions to like tweak a mechanic. If you see something fundamentally broken with it, if you explain your reasoning and say this is why I hate this, and tell us why, yeah, sure, we'll be willing to listen. Are we promising we'll change it exactly to your whim? No. But if you make a good enough argument that we agree with, yeah, we'll change it.
Something could be removed or changed significantly.
We're not planning to add anything extra. Any extra or additional features that you want to suggest in our suggestions channel that's on our Discord will be part of 1.8.8 in all likelihood, unless it's something minor like a bug fix, which might be part of like 1.8.7_01.
Yeah, but anyways, again, I'm going to say, even if you hate creative mode, I don't know what to tell you. It's not going to be removed. It's optional. You don't ever have to touch it if you don't want to. If it makes the room smell bad for you, then I don't even have a comment. This is just some complete option that technically already existed. If you have a problem with creative mode, I don't really see why you aren't angry at combinations of mods that allow you to do the same thing but less convenient.
There's nothing special about creative mode. It's just a mode where you can select some items and
this is like the only thing I'm not willing to remove.
And we added in modern flight and sprinting because they work well and most people are familiar with the mechanics. There's no real reason for us
to limit people in creative mode, the mode about building freely.
Exactly, or make our own janky mechanics. They'll just work less well and feel worse and unfamiliar to everyone. It's bad for us just to...
honestly had a clean implementation of these two features, so there was no reason not to have them.
Precisely. Why re-engineer something that's already working great?
I'm genuinely out of things to say this time. So I'm just going to let chat take it away. I'm going to wait a few minutes. Does chat have anything to say?
Yeah, if the chat has anything to say, any sort of things you want to like... If there's anything unclear that we didn't really get to, or into enough degree that you really just kind of want to see more of, we'll be happy to show that off.
Whoever hello there is in the chat said, I'm not sure if this was in response to to Metallica saying 1.8.7 is better than 1.8.6, but I'm assuming that by what I've seen is in response to that and is agreeing, and that's a good sign that the content we've released is good and fits with the NFC image. And I haven't seen
Sure.
any negative comments so far.
There's not that many
So
people here, so.
I'm very, yeah, I know, but still, we got to work with what few comments we have, and we'll probably have more by the end of the stream.
But yes, once again, if you have any issues or things you want to see more of, please let us know in the next few minutes before we stop the stream. If you want to see any sort of feature that we add in better detail, or yeah.
I like how I wanted to get back to the platform before revealing creative mode, and I clearly implied that, and you're just like, yeah, I'm just gonna just fly. Like, you just so casually revealed it, like you're like, oh hey, look at this thing. You're just like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna, oh, just no big deal. It's not like I'm just about to casually, nonchalantly reveal a whole new feature or anything now.
I seem like the best. I was planning to do that from the very start when you told me about like the creative mode. That's what I was planning to do. Just switch myself
Like,
to
as
creative
soon as
mode.
creative mode was confirmed to be in development.
Oh no, like it's tonight when you were like talking about everything. I was like, okay, when we come back from the overworld, I'm going to fly back to the platform. And just
I really like the
nonchalantly
way you
mention it.
revealed it. It was a very clean transition to possibly the biggest feature of the entire update.
Anyways, I'm not seeing anyone say anything. Everyone seems to be pretty.
Oh, there's a thumbs up. Zauja
We got a thumbs up.
2020. I wish Zauja would return, but he probably won't. He stepped down. That was his decision.
Well,
I like Zauja, so I like.
He's still around. It's just he's not around often. He's busy with life
like
in college.
Ghost.
He's fully. I mean, he's still the developer. He's still the person who created this whole project. But 1.8.7 is not his, it's ours. And we hope we delivered the best update we could have given you.
While I added the majority of the things in this update,
it's mostly
I forgot to
roads.
log that I changed the survival engine so the armor slots actually use their texture. But like, he added that, but most of the things I added, but he pretty much reviewed every single thing that I've added. I wanted to make sure that I didn't ruin anything. So I've basically, what he didn't add, he heavily supervised. So I don't care what you say. He was a big part of this update. Don't try to convince me otherwise. He was a huge part of this update. Him, Logan, Space, pretty much most of the mod team, but mostly Logan. Like, sometimes I would even directly message him. I don't know why. Like, hey Logan, is this a good feature?
I'm not sure why you mentioned me. Why you just messaged me directly instead of saying it in the moderation chat or something.
Yeah, sometimes I would just kind of do things and not really think about why. But yeah. Let's look at the chat a bit more. Yeah, when I added creative mode, I knew the old versions of creative mode were really clunky. So I wanted to be sure, even though the menu had no search, that would still be convenient in pretty much every other way. Mobs not pissing you off, being able to easily pick a block from the world, and yeah.
Road's implementation of creative mode is a lot better than Mojang's, as it actually...
At least in beta 1.8. Mojang's implementation of creative mode in more modern versions is far superior to this one, to be honest.
Yeah, it's barely superior. There's a couple categories, and that's about the only improvement. I feel like in the stuff that's from very modern versions, like the save toolbars, I just find personally kind of annoying.
I don't even use that feature.
Like, I don't play enough modern to even mess around a bit.
I have never once used that feature in modern. Like, if I can think of one use case. I mean, more features for convenience isn't a bad thing. I'm not bagging on the features. I'm just trying to think of a way I would use it.
Oh,
I mean, it might be useful for command block engineers, like having a bunch of command blocks and switching out rows of them. Yeah, I mentioned that, remember, when I was sweeping the chain?
Yes, but what I was trying to say was there's actually the specific names for the dandelion and rose now, rather than us both just being called flower in the game.
Yeah. Before, this was actually kind of implemented, but for some reason in 1.8.5, dandelions were called dandelion. It was super misspelled. And that misspelling was fixed in 1.8.6. I'm not sure if the rose was called a rose, but I know that dandelion was still called a dandelion in 1.8.6. Yeah. But I thought dandelions being able to place anywhere is, again, because they're weeds, and weeds are very invasive. They can grow on cracks of concrete, for Christ's sake.
One thing that they were doing throughout the dev builds that we patched up was originally they were just like generating randomly in caves. We decided that doesn't really make quite a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes some sense, but not like deep inside like
generate...
the depths of the earth. Like,
yeah,
that doesn't really quite make sense.
Yeah, it was because I had an oversight. Flowers would generate at pretty deep down. It's just that they would almost never spawn unless there was like a huge chasm for them to. So yeah, so I just made it so dandelions can only really appear above the surface level, which means they won't really appear in deep chasms, but they'll still appear pretty much everywhere else on the surface and in surface caves.
My cat keeps harassing me. He wants attention. More so, he wants to get out of this room, and I'm not opening the door for him, which is angering him.
Zauja almost certainly will not read that, unfortunately. Yeah, I haven't really been seeing any comments. The 6 people who are watching are probably just here to look. Got nothing to say. That's fine. I'm really excited to release this. On release day, probably around a half hour before the update releases, the main server will go down, scheduled maintenance, to make sure that I can, because I'm going to be testing the main server I'm going to make a backup of the main server around an hour to 30 minutes before I test the update on it. Then I'll be testing to make sure I didn't severely break anything. And we made sure there is no osmium outbreak. Don't worry, you guys getting
there will not be a repeat of 1.8.6.
Don't worry, in case you guys were looking for that, you have given me PTSD over that. Not like real I still kind of think about it, but it's not like actual PTSD.
We get that.
It's a joke, okay? I just criticized my own joke and got defensive over it. But yeah, you guys made it clear that you will take advantage of those kinds of things. Well, most of you didn't, but some of you did.
Moving on. There's not going to be a repeat of that.
Yeah, we made sure that there are no like testing debug bugs that are left in the game. We made sure that everything is as it should be, and any major bug is probably just going to be a crash or something that doesn't benefit the players in any way, let alone giving them chests full of osmium.
Well, the only thing that it was left in the game is the part where I have infinite god mode and I can press the letter Y to give myself diamonds. But that's just for me. What are you doing?
I'm rubbing my hands together. It's cold in here.
It sounds really weird.
Okay.
Listen to the stream in a minute and you'll hear it.
No. Yeah. I'm gonna check the comments one more time. There's just osmium too. Yeah, I don't see anything else that we really need to touch up on. Oh, one more. I'm just kidding. We've done that a lot this stream though. And hopefully by next update it will be back to a normal, more scheduled and organized format, even if it is a live stream. That has been already going on for like 2 hours. Jesus Christ.
This is a little extensive. However, there will be a more clean, summary of it.
Do you think we should make a forum post about everything that's been added and changed?
Well, I mean, there is the version history page we'll be adding the information to.
Yeah, but I think since I want to have a page that's fleshed out towards what's coming up next, just
Sure.
so people have something to read before Saturday.
You can design something like that.
Yeah, I will. Just not tonight. Like maybe sometime tomorrow.
I mean, it's not
Technically
tonight.
today now.
Technically, it's tomorrow. Today.
Listen, I define tomorrow as when I've gone to sleep and woken up. And like for the night, so just to make it a little less technical, like every time I say tomorrow after midnight, some fucking person is gonna be pedantic and is like, oh well, technically, like you know what I mean. But anyways, yeah, sometime today I'm gonna probably make a guide, not a guided log. Yeah.
Posted a
Ready to end
picture
it?
of my cat and off topic, just laying on top of my desk as I'm finishing the live stream.
All right. Well, I hope everyone had fun. And yeah, I might try to use YouTube's crappy editor to like make a supercut of this, so it's not just so it cuts out all the awkward silence and small talk between.
Awkward silence.
By the way, I don't know if you heard me, Logan, but I changed the server icon.
I know.
So yeah, from now on, the server icons and Logan multi-MC instance icon backgrounds will be themed around the updates. And I think that's a cool way to keep things fresh on the server side while still making it clearly defined what it is on your list.
Quick question: did capes work properly in the last version?
No, capes, Minecon capes would not show up at all.
So that's one thing. That's one final thing I guess I'll mention. Road fix
You
capes.
already mentioned this at the beginning.
No, you
like,
didn't.
Somewhere near the beginning. Remember,
Nope.
I was like, "Hey, can you see the cape?"
Nope, you didn't mention that. You said that before the stream started.
I will take a clip of it and slam it in your face.
Yeah, it was before the stream started. Is when you said that. If I'm wrong, well, it was hours ago, so whatever.
I'll spank you.
Kinky.
I knew you would say that.
Of course I would. What else would I say? Anyways, guys, this has been really fun. I'm looking forward personally to seeing this update released and seeing everyone messing around with it.
Hope you enjoyed our small talk, bouts of awkward silence, us constantly going back to stuff we missed and repeating ourselves, and awkward silence and repeating ourselves.
Hey, did you hear we added cloud height to the game?
We started off with it and we're gonna end. I thought you were, I like dead ass thought you ended the stream. I was just sitting there in silence and I feel like,
I just want to say one final thing before I end the stream in relation to modding support. So 1.8.6, as you know, has seen a large degree of add-on support due to my work personally to increase the compatibility of the project with other things. These add-ons will be deprecated for 1.8.6 when 1.8.7 is released. However, a large effort will be made towards a much cleaner version of a lot of these things for 1.8.7. A clean version of ModLoader is planned that actually is able to properly load in textures, as well as a clean version of Optifine and things like GLSL shaders, which I recently ported to 1.8.6. I will be making a port to 1.8.7. I cannot say a release date in any of these, however, ModLoader I can. ModLoader I'm going to make an attempt to release at the same time as 1.8.7, as well as How Many Items. How Many Items has some weird quirkiness that I need to fix up in relation to the new update. However, I will make sure to try to getting that fixed as fast as possible, so you can have those two things functioning.
I'll be sure to give you the source to the fixes once I push out the small fixes that we discovered during this.
Thank you. But yeah, we'll be sure to release those, and I'll be sure to
And
release those.
and
And
for
yeah,
and for obvious reasons, my 3D items add-on is completely deprecated as of 1.8.7.
obviously, no need to state the obvious. Um, Add-on support will be one of the major plans I have moving forward is I'm planning to merge together a lot of the add-ons that currently exist into more kind of bigger add-ons that are compatible with itself. So Optifine I'm planning to merge a lot of stuff into for graphical tweaks, including like the water shaders and the water biome colors. I'm planning to actually merge both of those into Optifine. I'm not planning to merge GLSL because that's a bit too quirky and weird and has a bunch of weird issues.
Yeah, and to make that a toggleable option, you'd have to go through so many hoops.
It's a train wreck. However, the other two things I'm definitely planning to add. Um, Other than that, I can't really think of much else.
How many times have we said that versus how many times we've actually thought of
It
something
doesn't
else to
matter.
say?
It's we're taking it as it comes.
Yeah.
But yeah, expect the Mayan support for No Frontier Craft to get a bit better as the future goes on. However, don't take that to mean we're working to make NFC more compatible with ModLoader. That's not really what my plan is. Really, what I'm more trying to do is I'm trying to make ModLoader compatible with NFC, making a compatible version of these mods that slots into New Frontier Craft that you then can load stuff on top of.
Yeah,
If you
so
want a version of NFC that's compatible with ModLoader, I definitely highly point everyone towards NFC ML, which is a project that Rec is working on, who I'd consider like a
huge props to him. Like,
yeah,
I one thing I didn't really want to do is port NFC to Forge or mod Loader because it would be extremely difficult with all the base direct edits we've made, and some things just wouldn't be possible.
which they
And
aren't.
Rec is a very skilled coder from what I know, and he's taken the time and effort to port as what he can from NFC to Forge, and he's gonna port whatever he can, right? He's not gonna leave anything out if he
As
can
far
help
as I
it.
can understand, it seems as though he's planning to push out a final build. Well, not a final build, but a workable build of NFC ML sometime
Yeah,
relatively soon
I'm
that
really
actually has all
happy
the
he's doing
textures
that.
completed. However, it's going to be missing some features as not all of the stuff added by NFC is able to be done via ModLoader. Some of the I did hear rumblings that he's thinking about using Fabric for those, which
Yeah,
is a modern mod loading technique that's
like it's a
getting
solution for doing more direct patches that wouldn't otherwise be possible, right?
yes mixins, so it's able to directly patch into like class files and stuff like that, but
Without
without
janky
overriding the
ASM
entire
shit
class file itself.
or doing janky ASM shit that you had to be like the wizard to learn.
Exactly.
I don't even know how to do ASM.
I mean, as far as I understand, Fabric just basically says, all right, take this method, override it with this,
Insert it here.
do this, and that's basically the gist of Fabric
Oh, yeah.
when
And
you're actually
so
working with it.
onto the extra, like making ModLoader more compatible with NFC or whatever order you put it in. I'm kind of hoping now. Do not, if anybody takes this as a promise and holds this above my head, for saying this, I'm going to snap your neck. But we are thinking about trying to make it so you can be able to load more mods with ModLoader. I really hope that one day we can have it so like you can have more of the ModLoader mods with extra blocks and stuff. And again, this is not a promise by any means, but this is something that we do have in mind, and we're not just like no compatibility. No, that's like
Which I will
it's
note
kind of
was
what
the
it
approach
seems
being
like.
taken by Zauja when he was working on the project.
Yeah, like it seems like we're doing the same thing because it just seems like we don't care about compatibility. It's just that we do, but Zauja has put the stick in the shit so far that's kind of a
There
concern
is
that
no
if
way
we'll
for
be
us
able
to
to.
turn around this project and turn it into something completely ModLoader compatible and stuff
But
without
we're gonna,
starting over from scratch, which
yeah,
NFC ML is kind of an example of. However, we're not really planning to move the entire project to that at the moment. Who knows how the future will turn out and what we're going to do by that eventually. For now, though, there are no plans to migrate over to that, but
but
That's a long way
nonetheless,
away, no
we
matter
want to
what.
make, again, long way ways, but we kind of want to make it so more mod loader mods that add more content can be compatible with NFC. I'm again, this is not a promise, and I cannot
This is
really
a very
stress this
common
enough.
thing with software where you take the
But
legacy
I wanna,
product and expand it out as far as you can. Meanwhile,
yeah,
the modern project with a much better code base is developed to get it up to the tier of the old software. This is the
yeah.
approach, for
But
instance,
you're
that
kind of
Mac
cutting out.
OS took when Mac OS 9 was developed alongside Mac OS 10 being developed.
As
This
I
is the
was
same
saying,
thing we're doing. NFC is the legacy product that we're pushing forward. Might it eventually be deprecated? Yes. Maybe it won't be, and maybe it'll continue being the major product as we change more features and make it better. There is major issues with NFC ML, most of them due to the fact that it's a lot harder to work with. That's the biggest advantage we have to NFC as we're currently working at. It's a lot simpler to work on.
yeah,
Base
like
class
instead
edits
of
are
doing a bunch of
very
overrides,
convenient.
yeah, instead of doing a bunch of overrides, we can just go in here and just be like, I want to add this.
We have no real limits on
Add it.
what we can do with beta because we can expand out any limit to the engine or spaghetti code we can rewrite, change, and expand out. There is nothing we
Yeah,
cannot fix and change using base class edits. We can completely recode everything in the game. We could rewrite the rendering engine. We could do anything we want. NFC, doing this via mod loader and
yeah.
fabric patches is a better way to get compatibility. However, it is not the best way to build the project. Might
Again,
we eventually translate to it? Possibly, but that'll be in the far future once we've pretty much completed the
unlikely.
project.
I'm gonna say that I'm pretty much against porting to Forge because it goes against what I, with my own experience, am able to do. If I end up becoming more experienced of a programmer, ended up seeing interested in it
Which
in the
is why I'm
future, I
saying for the far
might do it.
future, as none of us have the
Yeah.
experience or knowledge to do it right now.
And it would also be a huge pain in the ass, but at least we would have a basis with Rex, NSVML, if we'd be allowed to use the code he wrote for that. And again, even if we don't, we still want to try to free up compatibility with mods that add new items and blocks. Again, I can't stress this enough. That is not a promise, but it's a vision. We do
No,
want
stop
more
saying that. It's a
compatibility.
promise. Eventually, New Frontier Craft will have support for our custom items and more mods. I promise that
Well,
because I'm going to work on this project and I'm going to make sure it happens because this is my
okay,
stuff I'm
I didn't
developing.
want to make a promise for you. That's why I kept saying that, because you're the main guy behind these different
Well, stop
add-ons,
saying
and I don't really know how to
anything in
work with
relation to
ModLoader.
it. I'm the person working on the mod loader ports. It's going to happen eventually. The
I'm
texture
hoping,
things will happen unless I die or I get too old and I drop the project because I'm like busy with college like Zauja is now.
like, I'm just hoping that we can get that working in a smooth way. Like, as I said before, getting a different PNG working for terrain would be a huge step forward in this direction to getting that working without any problems.
We have a lot
That's
of plans and ideas
having
and
new
things we could do
content.
technical wise to
Just
help
the thought
improve
of
the whole thing.
bringing back mod loader compatibility to NFC is a really nice thought to me, and I'm hoping that in the future that we can achieve that and we can have several different mods working alongside NFC. Of course, stuff like the Aether will still require extra hoops to be compatible, but yeah, at this point I can't really
There
say
is a
what.
hypothetical future I definitely see where the Aether could be compatible with New Frontier Craft.
If the Aether ends up being compatible, I do think it might actually be within our interest to make a multiplayer, like a temporary multiplayer server, just to see how that would flesh together in multiplayer. Speaking of multiplayer, I
On
forgot
that
to
note,
mention,
though, this
I
would
do
be for the
plan on
far
making.
future, and wink wink,
I'm
that's all
bringing it
I'll
back to the.
say.
I'm bringing it back to the present now. Actually, on the topic of servers, I do plan on actually
Leo,
releasing a
cut it the
creative
fuck out.
plots server. I thought you said that to me, and then I realized you said Leo, and my name is not Leo. But yeah, we do plan on actually making a creative mode server. We're going to
Yes,
see if we can get the proper plugins and plot me and protection for it, and if we can, we'll allow people to experience creative mode in multiplayer through a separate new server where you can build anything you like in a plot, assuming it's not a huge dick that breaks rules. But yeah,
but this will be a whole new experience for anyone because this is like a
because
total.
obviously I can't just allow anyone to have creative mode on main server, that's a very destructive power. But people might still want a multiplayer creative mode experience, so am going to hope that in some time after I release 1.8.7 that I am able to deliver that. By the way, I did add some server options, so you can set the default game mode. So server owners, if you want to make a creative server, you can set the default game mode to 1 and make one, and I would be very happy to put that somewhere in one of our channels, like the news channel or something. And also you can, I forgot to mention this, you can change the join and leave messages too. That's it. That's all there is, like server additions.
We also add in cloud height. You can adjust it by there's this nice slider. It's in video settings.
Also added in is cloud height just a running joke of this update now? But yeah.
There is one thing I think we should actually implement. I think you should make it so the FOV slider can actually go below like the normal setting.
Maybe. Like in modern where you can make it like 30 and play with a fucking magnifying glass.
Exactly. Just something to kind of fiddle around with. Not for the next update, but just like something to fiddle around with maybe for like the next snapshot when we start working on 1.8.8. Which, yeah, I will state that as the final thing. 1.8.8, I promise, will not take as long as 1.8.7. Star sign at the end of that, because I cannot actually guarantee that, but I guarantee that it will not take as long to develop 1.8.8 as it took to develop 1.8.7.
Now, that's not to say 1.8.8 will necessarily come faster, because due to COVID-19, which I'm surprised we haven't mentioned a single time prior to right now during the stream, I was moving, I still am. I'm just in a good spot where I'm able to talk right now. And I would have been done moving, but I can't really do anything. I can't continue moving. There's not really much I can do about that. And so development was slowed down because of this for 1.8.7, and it probably will be for 1.8.8. But when I'm back in a comfort zone in my own house, I will actually be able to work on 1.8.8 at a normal speed again. Because 1.8.7 was actually developed really fast, and it would have came a few months sooner had it not been that I had to move in the middle of it, and then a virus outbreak happened on top of that. So yeah.
So we add in this awesome new block called Fired Bricks. You make this fired bricks by putting bricks into
I think the jokes are getting old now.
I disagree. So that we add in cheese. You actually have a way of getting cheese inside of the game now.
Yeah.
There really is nothing else to say at this point. We've covered every single conceivable concept for the future of New Frontier Craft in our own eyes. This has been a great night, everyone. I'm excited for the future of New Frontier Craft.
This went on for a little longer than I thought it would, and I honestly thought I would be in bed an hour ago, but nonetheless, I think this was a very great use of what little free time to talk that I do have, and I'm very happy that I finally was able to reveal this.
To be fair, Road has nowhere to speak when it comes to his bedtime, as he sprung this live stream on me completely randomly when I was in the middle of working on homework, and I had to cram to get that done to even do this thing in the first place.
You're acting like I forced you to. I just said, hey, I want to do this.
How could I not do it? You said there was basically no other option that would be convenient.
I kind of did, didn't I? Like, okay, I kind of worded it. I'm not really good at wording things, and I made it just seem like that. But yeah,
No, it
I
is
fucked
that is the
and I
case. It's not how
made
you
the
word it.
word.
It's just that when it was gonna get done today, or it needed to get done some airtime. And the
I'm
airtimes that
sorry.
you can get it done were just inconvenient. I just wish you told me a bit earlier you had interest in doing this today. Anyways, this is
Well,
beside the point.
we
This is
did
just
it,
us bickering
so
like an old married couple, as was pointed out before.
no harm done. By the way, it's just all fun and games. I'm just kidding. But yeah, all fun and games.
Fucking piece of shit. Don't mind our profanity if you're a child or do not like profane language. I
Your child
apologize.
to turn the off button on your
On
ears.
that
There's
note,
an off
I,
switch.
I can't really imagine many small children being involved in New Frontier Craft. That would
Especially
seem rather
with
odd
the
to me.
process of installing mods.
Yeah, I mean,
And
like,
again, there's a whole community of like 11-year-olds modding Baldi's Basics and Education and
I mean,
Learning.
to be
So
fair, if you're playing these older versions, I'd assume that you had some experience in the past, which would make me assume you're at least like
I'm like the only beta player I know which
16, 15, maybe
I'm the
maybe
only beta
14.
player I'm I'm the only beta player I know which prior to my move to beta I've never like played a old version before. Like when I first joined NFC, that was my first like real experience with beta, and I actually quite enjoyed the simplicity of it. And that's why I stayed with NFC for the years to come. It was the perfect experience for me.
I came to NFC because I'm a refugee from the Aether 2 community who came to the beta community and then left part of the main beta community because it was part of the server community, which is a train wreck, and that led me to join the NFC
Can we
community.
please draw this to a conclusion? I want to go to bed.
Okay,
You keep saying bye and then not leaving.
let's keep talking for an hour.
I'm just gonna leave the call.
I'm gonna show off my Cube World gameplay in this live stream after Road leaves. uh, anyways, guys, this is a great night.
Respawn already so I can put you back on the platform.
No, I hope everyone has a good
Oh.
night. This has been great. I'm just gonna keep repeating myself. This is a great night. I enjoyed today. It was a great night. It was a nighty night. It was a night that was nightful. And that people nighted in the night.
Whew. Thank you for hosting this stream, by the way. I'm really glad that you were able to carry that weight for me since I wasn't able to.
Seriously though, guys, ending the stream now.
Well, I thought you already ended it.
See you guys later. Come on the server. Have some fun. Let's play some New Frontier Craft. It's beta. And that's a cool thing.